Hello, welcome back to Mr. Arsenal podcast for a new-ish, I haven't seen it before, sort of Arsenal. It's not obviously like Arsenal live stream, something I haven't seen done before on an Arsenal channel, especially the big popular ones. And considering that I'm accused of not doing original things, apparently, we thought we'd do this. This is basically, because last year we did lockdown, we did like our greatest 11 sort of thing, Arsenal's greatest 11. Now we're going to do the underrated. We're going to the players that weren't appreciated in their time, so we say. And we're going to start off going through position by position individually between myself, Melvin, and Richard. So like the goalkeeper. I've got a feeling. I know one of Richard's strikers is. I don't know why, but I've got a strange feeling I know who it is.
Can I just say I've actually got a list of 55 players that I think have been underrated or underappreciated since I've been watching. That's only in the time I've been watching Arsenal. There was about another 50 that I missed off the list because I'm thinking we'll be here all night. But I've actually got 55 across all the different positions in the team. So we've got plenty of choice. But I won't go through them all. I will be here forever. But I did write a list of 55 players. I just wrote the ones down as I thought about them. I thought, oh yeah, he was underrated. Going through the positions, and I'll come up with 55.
Yeah, me, Melvin, just sit back. You list them off. No, we'll start. We'll start with you, Melvin, with goalkeeper. See outside of things. Who's your goalkeeper?
My goalkeeper is, but before I start, hands up. I didn't understand the brief, how easy it is. I didn't realise on 1 to 11. I just thought of 11 players, but I think I can move a few around.
Yeah,
we might have two goalkeepers, one playing at centre forward. Anyway, the goalkeeper is Mr. James Rimmer.
Oh, good shout! Good shout.
Yeah.
I thought he was a terrific goalkeeper. We weren't the best of teams when he joined us, and he kept us in so many games. People forget about him because round about him, then we got Jennings and people like that. You know, he came in between some very, very good goalkeepers, and I think he was very, very good as well. He just didn't get the recognition that he deserves. So my number one goalkeeper definitely is James Rimmer, known as Jimmy.
That's a good shout, that Melvin. I'm liking that one. He's a bit before my time. That's why he wasn't on my list. But because we were getting fighting relegation when he played, I think that's why he gets overlooked. But he kept us in the league for 2 seasons running, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Obviously, we'll have honourable mentions as well. So whoever the other goalkeeper is, you can obviously mention that later on as well. Richard, who's your goalkeeper? Or goalkeeper?
I've got a few different ones I had on my list. I've ended up with a short list of 4, and the one I'm going to give it to, and it may be a little bit of a surprise. The reason why I'm going to pick this particular one is because I didn't feel he got the recognition he deserved at international level, or perhaps outside of Arsenal. He was loved at Arsenal, but maybe not elsewhere. So I'm going to go with John Lukich. Because I thought he was a fantastic goalkeeper, but he never got the recognition, I didn't feel, outside of Arsenal. He didn't get picked for England. I know he could have played for Yugoslavia at the time, I think it was as well, but I think he had picked England. And I don't think he got a cap, did he? Not one cap for England. No, I know there were some good goalkeepers around at the time, but his consistency for Arsenal deserved at least a call-up for England, at least 2 or 3 caps at that time, I would have thought, and he didn't get one. So for me, I'm going for John Lukich, just because although we loved him, I didn't feel he got the recognition outside of Arsenal that he deserved.
Yeah, and also for a goalkeeper that wins 2 league titles, you would have thought he got a call at least once. 2 league titles in 3 years.
2 league titles with 2 different clubs as well.
Yeah, that's true. Leeds 92, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, he deserved a lot more recognition for his career and what he achieved in football. And it's a shame he's only really. I mean, I think Leeds fans love him as well. We obviously do. And it's just a shame he didn't get recognised elsewhere. Just the other one of the other ones on my list that I was thinking of was actually another controversial, maybe Petr Cech, who I felt actually was a decent goalkeeper for Arsenal and maybe didn't get the credit he deserved because of where he came from, and he was at the end of his career. How you doing, Gary? So he was another one that I was kind of toying with on that basis because he was still a good goalkeeper at Arsenal. He did win the Golden Glove, I think, his first season. So, but John Lukich gets it for me.
Yeah, I'm going to upset you because obviously when I sent that the thumbnail, you said none of them people will be in this thing tonight. I'll put Alex Manninger because I think. I'm surprised. I'm surprised you go for Fabianski. Actually, he was close, but I thought with Manninger because he was part of the '98 double team. He stayed on for a few more years as number 2. But it was a big part. Not many people really mention it apart from the people, obviously the fans that are there, and obviously David Seaman and all the players that are there at the time. But he doesn't get, even the media side of things, he never really got the recognition he deserved because, again, without him, his performances when Seaman was injured for a few weeks, good few weeks as well.
More than a few weeks.
I think he played. I think he played about 10 games in the Premier League that season, or maybe more.
Yeah.
And
the Old Trafford one. He played in the Old Trafford one.
He did. Yeah. He had a good run. Yeah.
Very good run.
That game in Old Trafford, he was absolutely phenomenal. Considering Sanogo didn't have a goal, he made Sanogo look like he weren't even there, basically.
Yeah.
But he never really got the recognition from outside of the club. Again, like John Lucas, outside of the club, never gets the recognition he really merited.
No.
And people tend to forget if it weren't for him stepping in when he did and being the goalkeeper he was at the time as a young goalkeeper upcoming and pushing Seaman when he was injured, we don't win that double.
No. It is a good shout. I mean, he maybe didn't play enough games in his overall Arsenal career, perhaps, because he was behind David Seaman, and nobody played many games behind David Seaman, did they? But certainly for that sort of that season, he certainly deserved a lot of recognition because he was brilliant and he came in at a difficult time and was fantastic. So I mean, I thought Lucas Fabianski you might have gone with because he won us an FA Cup and he was a decent goalkeeper that maybe didn't get the recognition he perhaps deserved, even from Arsenal fans. I mean, look at him now at West Ham; he's been brilliant, hasn't he? You know, I think he was always a good goalkeeper. And he just never really got a chance at Arsenal to become number one regular, which was a shame because I thought he was always a decent goalkeeper. Never let us down.
No, exactly. I mean, at the time when he came in, what was he? When he first arrived, it was that Lennon was coming in near the end of his career. And
we had Almunia ahead of him. I mean, Almunia, come on. Exactly.
I felt again with Fabianski, just touching on him, I felt sorry for him because when obviously after Lehmann and Almunia had finally been dislodged up, Wenger completely like, no, I've had enough of you now. It's someone else's turn. So Fabianski came in, and it's like he was consistent. He was putting performances in, and he got a big injury, and then Szczesny came along. Yeah.
I know he was unfortunate, Fabianski, because I thought he was all right for us. He did well. So
I was a bit gutted that obviously we didn't go for nothing as well. Especially he just won us the FA Cup. Again, he played the entire FA Cup in that season.
Yeah,
and made I think it's the quarterfinal against Liverpool. Big saves in that game.
Well, he was a hero of the penalty shootout in the semi-final, wasn't he? Against Wigan.
Well,
I think he saved 2 penalties, didn't he, in that shootout? I think it was. So but
I think so.
Anyway,
2 or 3.
Unfortunate. He's had a good career since he left at West Ham. So fair play to him.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And unlike other ex-Arsenal players, he actually respects Arsenal. He doesn't slate us off left, right, and centre.
Yeah, like some other goalkeepers.
Yeah, don't tell us that though. You have a cry now. Any honourable mentions you want to mention as well? We've obviously mentioned Fabianski there as one of them.
No, I mean they were the 4 that I had actually were Fabianski, Manninger, Lukich, and Petr Cech. So we've covered all of them. And obviously Melvin picked Jimmy Rimmer, which is a great shout just before my time. So I don't know. There's pretty much every goalkeeper that we've had apart from David Seaman, who wasn't underrated because he was the best at the time that there was. So
I think with Petr Cech as well. I think the reason why he didn't really get a fair crack at the whip of Arsenal fans, especially, is because of the Chelsea connections and obviously. Yeah, he'd been so consistent for them. Yeah, if he made a slight mistake,
he was past his best when he comes to Arsenal. Let's be honest, he was past his best. But I thought he was actually, certainly the first 2 seasons at Arsenal, I thought he was decent. He was a good goalkeeper. He added a little bit extra that we didn't have because I felt before he was better than the goalkeepers that he replaced. And then he got a bit too old and he was past it by the end, and we know that. But certainly the first 2 seasons, I thought he was decent. Certainly better than he was given credit for. So I thought, probably in that sense, he was underrated for us. Not an underrated goalkeeper because he was one of the best in the world for a long time. But at Arsenal, I thought he was underrated, underappreciated by Arsenal fans. Certainly at the beginning when he first came, because I thought he was decent.
Yeah. Where do you want to go now? Right back or left back? I'll leave it up to you. Who wants to do?
I'll go right back. Now, what I've done, I think I've moved this about a bit, so I might get half a team in their right position. This is a person that's played in both positions. The other position he played in was midfield, who he was outstanding, one of the finest players in his position. But he did play when he first came into the team at right back and then left back, and then he went over to right back. But I'm choosing him as a right back because I've got a left back. And it's again before your time, Peter Storey.
I knew that's what you was going to say when you said about midfield and right back.
He was unbelievable player. He was. he wasn't on everybody's lips because he was a hod carrier. I mean, I'm putting him down. He was fantastic, but he was the guy that did all the hard work. He stopped people getting through. And you had the Charlie Georges, had so much flair, the Geordie Armstrong, the work rate, the Radford. Everyone talks about McClintock, and rightly so, and Simpson, all these players, rightly so. But he's the one that sometimes slips, just slips below the waterline. You think, how good would we? How not as good we would have been? We wouldn't have been nowhere near as good without him. You can say that about Frank McClintock and the others, but no one mentioned him in that same level. And I think he was so important to the team. He just stopped the other teams from playing. He got stuck in. He never missed a tackle. And for a guy that was really at the heart of it, he never got sent off much. I think he got sent off with Burnley, when we played him 3 times in about 4 days or something stupid, League Cup and League. But for me, he epitomised Arsenal. I remember I was growing up then, I must have been about, 12 when he was playing. Saw him when I was about 18, if I can remember, around about that time. And you saw his sleeves rolled up a little bit, sliding into tackles, stopping anyone coming near him, getting that ball, giving it to someone to do something else with it. He had Arsenal through and through. I think he might have gone to Fulham, didn't he? That one. I think after he left Arsenal.
I think he did. Yeah, I think he went to Fulham. I think he went to Fulham. Yeah.
But he was one of those players, a bit like Pat Rice went to Watford, but Pat Rice is Arsenal. Peter Storey is Arsenal, and for me, that's my player. Right back, Peter Storey.
501 appearances for Arsenal he made, by the way. 501.
Really?
Yeah, fantastic servants of the club as well. Brilliant. Yeah,
fantastic player.
What about yourself, Richard? Who's your right back?
Well, again, I had a few choices. I had a few options, and in the end, I'm going to go with somebody who, again, probably might be slightly controversial. I'm going to go with Emmanuel Eboué because he got a lot of stick, and I actually felt that he wasn't a bad player. I think his confidence was a little bit hit and miss, and he was a confidence player, wasn't he? When his confidence was up, he was good, and he played fantastically, didn't he? That season when we got to the Champions League final, he played. He had to play more games than we'd anticipated he was going to play, and I thought he was a good player. He lost his way a little bit, and he got obviously that time when he came on and got booed off by the fans and that, which was horrible. But I felt he wasn't a bad player. And I thought he gave everything while he played. And I never felt he really got the fans on his side, particularly. I thought he had a bit of a character about him. He was a bit, he was a bit funny. He did little dances when he scored and that kind of stuff, didn't he? But I never felt he got the credit he deserved maybe for what he was. I thought he was an all right player. And for me, I felt he was underrated even by Arsenal fans. And probably even now. But I think he for me, he deserves to be in the underrated team because I felt he was one of our most underrated players at the time he played. Because maybe because he'd replaced that, he'd come in after the invincible team and he'd replaced some of those great players and he wasn't quite as good. But I thought he gave everything when he played. And some of those crosses, do you remember that cross for Thierry Henry's goal against Man United when we beat them last minute? And he put in balls like that quite a lot as well. His delivery was really good. And I think that he was, for me, very underrated as a player for Arsenal. So I'm going to go with Eboué. And I did like his dancing as well. So he gets an extra point for that.
Yeah, I mean, he got a point as well. Because wasn't he the immediate replacement to Lauren as well?
Yeah.
So the professor was straight on from the off, really. And as you say, that 05, the season we get to the Champions League, 05-06.
Yeah.
He came in out of nowhere because Lauren was getting injured quite a lot that season. And he's just slotted in.
I thought he was brilliant. Yeah, he lost his way a little bit, didn't he? I suppose, but he played in midfield a bit as well later on. But
I think it's more of a confidence thing when you when you've got fans booing you off because of one bad, literally not even half an hour. That affected, but he bounced back again. That showed the character of what he was. He sort of used it, went away, and came back.
Yeah, exactly.
Then made one mistake.
He did show a lot of character as well. Yeah, and I just think he deserves a little bit of credit for what he did with Arsenal. I know it wasn't a great time for the club. It was a transitional period he came in, but I thought he did well, and he did. He came back from that terrible situation with a lot of dignity. He didn't slag the club off. He didn't do anything, did he? He stayed. And he fought for his place back in the team. He got his place back in the team, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. So I think he deserves a place in this team, and I'd even consider making him captain, but probably not because there's a few better players in there. But I did like Emmanuel Eboué. He was funny. He made me laugh as well. So I want to give him a place in the team.
Yeah, because again, this has been really. I thought this wouldn't be as hard as it has been, but it was really hard. And I thought back with one of my picks was Lauren because obviously to look at the team he was in, we all as Arsenal fans we knew what sort of job he did. So from an Arsenal, again, like we said about John Lucas earlier, from an Arsenal fan perspective, We rated him. We didn't think he was underrated. We didn't underrate him, and I think again, it's the media, because all they really focused on was the Bergkamps, the Henrys, the Luttenbergs, the Perez's, and all that. They didn't really give plaudits to the likes of Lauren, who did a fantastic. Again, he took over from Lee Dixon, and he came to us as a midfielder, converted into a right back.
Yeah. No, he did. Yeah.
Job.
No, he was great, Lauren. I mean, he was. I saw the goal he scored against Chelsea in the FA Cup the other day on YouTube.
Left foot.
Yeah, he cut in from the right and left foot. Yeah, and near post. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
what a goal that was!
Goal.
Fantastic. That was brilliant. He was a great player, Lauren. Actually, he got stuck in, didn't he? He loved it, didn't he? Brilliant.
He didn't mind getting. Yeah, you're right. He didn't mind having a bit of a tussle, did he?
Yeah.
He didn't shirk away.
No, he didn't. He loved a good tackle, didn't he, Lauren? Fantastic player.
We're going to go for centre back now. We'll go right centre back. I'm having trouble with this one, but I'll start with Richard on this one. Who's your right centre back?
Who was your right back? No, Lauren. Sorry. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren. Again, I think there's lots and lots of centre backs that we've had that have been underrated. Actually, that's probably the biggest number of players in my list that there are. Centre backs coming out everywhere. So many of them, literally loads of centre backs that I felt have been underrated and underappreciated at Arsenal. That maybe wasn't as bad as people made out that they were. I suppose if I've got to narrow it down, obviously to two in the end to get in the team. I would definitely like to see Per Mertesacker in the team. He would be my captain. I think that he was very, very underrated as a player. Even at Arsenal, he came with I thought he was a good signing when we bought him. And I thought he was a really solid player for Arsenal. He was a leader on the pitch. But I never felt that he was particularly well-liked amongst the fan base. I didn't think he was. He got a lot of stick at times. I can remember fans getting on his back a little bit. And I don't know. I felt he was a little bit underappreciated, but I personally thought he was a really good player for us. Again, a bit like Abue, he came in at a difficult time for the team, maybe when we were transitioning a little bit. But I thought he was really good, and obviously we won. He won us a couple of FA Cups, whatever. That the 2017 FA Cup final, the Mertesacker final, when he was magnificent in that game. I think that might have been his last game he played because of the injuries that he had. It might have been his final game as well. I mean,
it might be one of his first games of the season as well, wasn't it?
It was his first, well, I think he'd played half an hour in the final league game the week before against Everton when Koscielny got sent off, and then he played 90 minutes in the cup final. And basically, had Diego Costa in his back pocket, didn't he? Just incredible performance, and just for that alone, he deserves to be in every single Arsenal 11 team, doesn't he? In the last 10 years, just for that one performance. But I just felt he was very underrated as an Arsenal player anyway, because we've had some great centre backs, haven't we? Tony Adams and Steve Bold and all them great ones from that time, and maybe he didn't quite make up to their level. So maybe people didn't appreciate him, but I actually thought Per Mertesacker, for me, he deserves his place in that team because I thought he was a really good player for Arsenal.
Well, again, because I got Mertesacker in my team as well, and I was thinking again. From both fans and media alike, again because of his size and because he was so long-legged, so I say he wasn't exactly fast-paced. He got because of what the Premier League was and still is. He didn't get appreciated for until that final what he was all about and how he could read a game.
He could read a game.
Yeah, he could. In that formation, I think he only got sent off twice in his whole career as a centre back. Playing 800, 700 games in his career. I think he only got sent off twice. That's because, as you said, Melvin, he read the game well. He got himself into the right position to win the ball. He didn't have to make last-ditch tackles. He didn't have to, he didn't slide tackle anybody, did he? He just read the play, got there, cleared the ball, played it simple. And I just thought he was very, very underappreciated by Arsenal fans, actually, in general. So, he deserves to be in the team. And I'm glad you picked him as well, Ryan. That's great. Two votes.
It's exactly the same reason what you said, but also the fact that because of his size, because of his structure, and until we changed that formation to a 3 at the back, and people started realising how good a defender he really is, how well he can read a game, like Melvin said.
Yeah.
Then they started. Near the end, when they started appreciating him, it was like, why wasn't that appreciation way back when we brought him in the first place?
Yeah.
It goes to show how well he read the game. That you look at the partners he had alongside him, Vermaelen and Koscielny, they didn't click with him for whatever reason. And then them two didn't really click with themselves either. It was poor luck on his part that the partner put alongside him never wanted to. They wanted to bomb forward and be the free running defender, and he wanted to just sit back, and he got exposed because of that, because he was doing too many
But
jobs.
we did actually have in those couple of seasons when he was playing regular 2 or 3 seasons, we actually had a decent enough defensive record actually, and we wasn't conceding lots and lots of goals. We had a generally pretty okay defensive record, and that was mainly down to him when he read the game. So yeah, I think he deserves a lot of credit, and obviously now he's doing a great job coaching the under-23s as well.
If Sanogo and Seagon are in this squad, he's out. We've only got one centre back so far. Obviously, we'll get Melvin's first centre back in. What's your first centre back, Melvin?
Right. Well, all I can say that Richard, I've known you a long time now, and you've mugged me off. Mertz was one of my calls, and you mentioned someone else who I was going to put in, but you've put him on as he was a very good player, but I don't think he was appreciated as much as he should have been. I don't know whether to go with that. I've got 2 more, but no, I'm going to stick with my first choice, Stevie Bold. I don't think he was appreciated.
Yeah, actually, that isn't a bad shout, because he never got many England caps, did he? Either, to be fair, and he should have got a lot more.
My reasoning is that yes, he was in the fantastic back four. So was Keown, and it seems to me people think about Keown before Boldy. I think Boldy was a better player. I think Boldy read the game.
Yeah. Oh, he was. Yeah, he was.
I think Boldy did more up. He had a fantastic season when I think we beat Forest 4-1 away. I think won the league. He scored and made a lot of goals from corners.
Yeah, he did.
I just think, and it's the way he played the game. I loved that he was a pure English centre half. And I remember him playing is that we miss now type of thing. I thought he wasn't the, when you talk about the 89 team, and he even played out of position in that game, didn't he? But when you talk about the 89 team, won the league, he was, I thought, magnificent. And it showed up because the game we only lost, I think, 2 seasons later, 1 game in a season, he couldn't play. Yeah. We finished up the last 11 on the pitch with no centre half, so that's not just because of that, but we missed him so much when he didn't play. And for me, he is one of my. I saw him play in the final in Copenhagen. He was outstanding, and I think he got. I don't know how many caps he got. He didn't get many. He got 1 or 2, but he played so well in that game. He got his cap just after that performance, and rightly so.
He had a lot of
performances I've seen.
He did have a lot of injuries as well, though, didn't he? Yeah. And I think that maybe stopped him maybe getting more caps for England, possibly, and even more games for Arsenal, because he didn't play as many games for Arsenal as he should have done because he was injured for a lot of times. He seemed to always suffer injuries. But yeah, I mean, I've got some great memories of Stevie Bold. I mean, there was I remember one game at Sheffield Wednesday, the season before, he scored an own goal in the first minute and we'd lost 1-0. And then the next time we played Sheffield Wednesday away, he scored an equaliser in front of the Arsenal fans at Leppings Lane, and we was going mental. And he had such a good celebration in front of the fans. That was brilliant. And I thought he knew it was like revenge for the own goal he'd scored the season before. So that was great. And he actually won me a lot of money in the semi-final against Sampdoria when he scored 2 goals in the home leg at Highbury. The first leg he scored. I remember that. He hadn't scored all season. Before the game, I put money on him to score the first goal. And Tony Adams actually scored from a corner after about 10 minutes and it got disallowed. And that's the only time I've been happy that an Arsenal goal's been disallowed, because 5 minutes later, Boldy scored and I won loads of money. So I was happy about that. And he's got another one as well straight after. So, but yeah, Steve Bold was a great player. He was a great player. And yeah, I don't look on him as being underrated in a way because of how good he was. But yes, he was overlooked by England constantly and he shouldn't have been. Because him and Tony Adams together, that partnership for about 3 or 4 seasons was just unbelievable. You couldn't get past them. You just couldn't. And they should have played for England together for 50 games at least, the pair of them together. But unfortunately, Boldy got overlooked. And it's a shame. It's a shame actually what happened as well when he was like assistant manager and all that kind of stuff. It didn't end particularly well, did it, for him at the club, unfortunately, which is a shame because he deserved better than that, I felt. But anyway. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, again, I went for Boldy as well alongside BFG, but again, because you mentioned obviously the partnership between Adams and Bold itself. That was built up over that was near on a decade. They built that partnership up as well together. So again, and you've seen Adams getting picked left, right, and centre, rightly so. You would have thought at least Steve will be getting picked as well.
Yeah, but even Tony Adams, right? Tony Adams should have had 150 caps for England. He only got 60 or 70, whatever it was, because he never got picked as much as he should have done. He got left out of some tournaments, didn't he, when he should have been captain? And he was overlooked a bit for England. I mean, I don't think we'd ever call Tony Adams underrated because he wasn't, but
you can't say
he was overlooked for England a lot. He didn't get as many caps for England as he should have got. He wasn't captain of England as many times as he should have been. He should have been the captain of England for 15 years, without a shadow of a doubt. And he wasn't. He was overlooked for players that just were more popular in the media, more popular players maybe, and because he had a bit of a checkered past and this, that, and the other, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that was a shame. But yeah, Steve Bold, fantastic. What a great player. Brilliant.
Yeah. So I think we covered that. Left backs. Who's our left back? I'll go.
We haven't had two centre halves yet, have we?
No, I haven't. I've only picked one.
We've got the other centre half, the left centre half, left side. We'll go with Richard first.
I'll go with somebody again who maybe would be. Again, there was a couple that were on the radar. One I actually liked from a long time ago, from my early days watching Arsenal, was Chris Wyatt. He was.
You picked him. I had him at all.
I didn't pick him. You can pick him if you want. He's on my list.
No, I've got someone else.
He won the league at Leeds afterwards as well when he left Arsenal, a bit like John Lukich. So I thought he was underrated. But for me, I'm actually going to go with somebody that I felt got quite a lot of stick for Arsenal, but I thought was actually decent. And that's Philip Cenderos. I thought he was actually all right. And he got a lot of criticism. That Champions League season, when we got to the Champions League, he played a lot of games in that season. The season when we almost won the league in 2008, he played a lot of games. And I thought he was a decent defender, actually. And he was unfair. I thought he was unfairly criticised by a lot of Arsenal fans, and I thought he was all right. So I think he deserves a place. He's just got in, which I'm a bit gutted about. He's just got in ahead of Andy Linnigan, who scored an FA Cup final winning goal and deserves to maybe be in the team on that basis. But I did feel Cenderos was maybe a better player than Andy Linnigan overall. But Andy Linnigan deserves credit as well, just for scoring that goal, apart from anything else. But overall, I thought he was underrated, Andy Linnigan as well, because he was an all right defender. He was a little bit slow. Yeah, he was a bit slow at times. He had the turning circle of the QE2, but he did a good job, and he maybe deserves some credit as well. But I will go for Mertesacker and Cenderos as my partnership.
I went for Linnigan myself.
Linnigan, yeah.
Yeah, but Cenderos. I mean, another thing with Cenderos was, look at because I've got the DVD reviews and I watch it back every now and then. Yeah, he wasn't as bad as we remember. But people remember. It was the issue was that cost us. The issue that cost us titles was the goalkeeper.
Of
a small Spaniard who was in the goalkeeper.
Of course it was.
Am I mistaken? Wasn't Cenderos's Achilles heel Drogba?
Yeah, I mean, that's everyone's Achilles heel, to be
honest.
That
was everybody's, though, wasn't it?
Let's be honest, it's Drogba.
And I said Cenderos, one of his finest games was when we played Real Madrid at Highbury. We had to draw 0-0 to get through. He was unbelievable. That was, in my opinion, his finest game for us.
Him and Troy, that partnership that night, they were on it. Right? Look at the players they're up against: David Beckham, Zidane, Raul, young Sergio Ramos, Guti.
Well, they were the team then,
Roberto Carlos. They were a phenomenal team back then.
Right. My choice, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, your choice
Michael,
now. Yeah.
No, Michael's not here tonight. Right. Chris White, I was going to have. I'm going to put someone else in now. Going back a couple of years, Willie Young.
Oh, Willie Young.
He was a fabulous foil for David O'Leary. That was a terrific. You talk about Bold and Adams being a partnership.
Yeah.
Willie Young and O'Leary was a great partnership. And the Arsenal supporters who went every week and watched him realised how good he was. But in the press and all that, he never got a mention like he should have done. He'd done his job. Anything in the air was his. He didn't need a goalkeeper in the air. He was so good. And he was like in my opinion, watching him play so many times, an unsung hero. I remember every Arsenal supporter hated him when he first signed, obviously from Spurs. And I think the last game he played against Spurs, he got sent off against us. And I think the first game he played against home, I saw him play, was his first debut for us was home to Ipswich. No one liked him and he gave away a penalty. So apart from that, he had a great start. It was one of, oh my God. But he, from just giving 100% every game, he had the skills in the air. I mean, in the air, he was fantastic. On the deck, he knew where his limitations were, and that's all he played to. Very clever, and he was terrific. O'Leary was superb on the deck. Okay in the air, not great, but Willie Young was brilliant in the air. And as I say, you know, the Brady's, who was magnificent, Stapletons, O'Leary's, McDonald. These are from that era. These are the guys you always talk about. Yellow Sunderland's for the FA Cup goals and the other goals he scored. But for me, Willie Young was the one that never quite got the recognition he deserved because he was a big part, in my opinion, of the Arsenal team being successful in the Cups.
We've got a question here from the assembled in the chat. Says Abure, Cenderos, Toure, and Flamini record-breaking defence. Does anyone know why?
Yeah, most clean sheets in a row in the Champions League.
Hmm.
Well, I don't think they all played in all the games, though, did they? I don't think they all did. Because I think early on in the group stage, I think we had other players, and then we had a few injuries, and that was the team that we had later on when the knockout stage, wasn't it? Through, I think early on in the group stage, I don't think they played all the games all the way through. They might have done. I'm just not 100% convinced that they played them all.
I'm trying to think because Ashley Cole was hit with massive injury that season. I can't remember because I know
Flamini played all season, Cole.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That season.
He played about 12 games.
He might have started it in the first game or two, like the group stage. I mean, but Flamini pretty much again considering Flamini, he was looking at Flamini. He was actually underrated. In his first spell, very underrated. Considering again he came in unknown. He was a central midfielder more than anything, and he got asked to play a position he weren't comfortable with. We got to the Champions League final, and I don't remember actually him playing left back in that.
He didn't. Cole played left back.
Then the final he didn't play. No, he didn't play in the final.
No, but I'm saying in the Real Madrid's he
played left back against Real Madrid, definitely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. In them games in like the two-legged affairs going up to the final, leading up to the final, he didn't look like troubled or anything. It didn't faze him that he was playing out of position. He looked like it was his natural position, even though it wasn't. And that was another sort of notch to the best, sort of why people in New York wanted him so badly after a couple of years later. But yeah, got Alan Price has been mentioned in the chat.
David Price. It was David Price.
David Price.
He wasn't underrated. He just wasn't very good. Sorry to be so negative, critical, but I don't think he was. I think he was lucky to get in a team.
Tell us what you really feel, Melvin. Tell us how you really feel. We got left backs now. I can't. Did I do mine? Yeah, I did mine, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Yeah. So let's do left backs now. I'll start with this one. I went for Silvinho. He was in between obviously the Winterburn and Ashley Cole. And I think the reason I say it because he took over from Winterburn and obviously Ashley Cole just came out of nowhere and dislodged him basically from the team. But he did for again the first Brazilian player to play for the Arsenal in the league he's never used to. For a left back, he liked to score the odd cracker as well against Chelsea.
Chelsea, yeah.
But he's actually even defensively, he was an all right left back. He wasn't that bad. It's just that Ashley Cole came through when he did from the academy, and once Ashley Cole emerged, that was it. There was no looking back, and Silvinho sort of had to move on, so we say. But he doesn't really because of that, because he was at such a short stint in the end. He doesn't really get the plaudits and the recognition he really should, in my opinion, because I was growing up, I was like 11, 12 at the time. I'm thinking, what a player we've got here. But then again, going back to it, Ashley Cole came along from the academy out of nowhere and made that position, got converted into a left back himself and made that position his own. And Silvinho wanted first team football still. And look, when did he end up going? Barcelona for a good few years. So he can't have been that bad, even then. Richard, what about yourself? Who's your left back?
Again, this one might be not expected because, again, he's a player that I don't think was underappreciated by Arsenal fans. I just felt he was maybe underappreciated again elsewhere and maybe internationally. So I'm actually going to pick Nigel Winterburn because he should have been England's left back for 10 years. I know Stuart Pearce was in the running, but was Stuart Pearce any better than Winterburn? He took about a free kick maybe, but I didn't think he was. And he was Mr. Consistency, wasn't he, Nigel Winterburn? Every game he'd get 7 or 8 out of 10 performances. He never dropped his level, just consistent. And I think Arsenal fans loved him, but I don't think he was recognised elsewhere. If you was to speak to anyone like one of the greatest Premier League left backs, Nigel Winterburn wouldn't even be in most people's top 4 or 5 outside of Arsenal. And yet he was definitely up there as one of the best left backs in Premier League history and in obviously English football history before. I thought he was brilliant, but I don't think he got the recognition he deserved. I'll never forget that goal against Wimbledon in the 89 season with his right foot in the top corner in front of the clock. And that was
won it then, didn't we? Won the game.
Yeah, the one against Chelsea as well in the '98 season when he got a winning goal there, didn't he? A late goal there. Brilliant goal. Yeah. And, I just felt I say outside of Arsenal, I thought he was very underappreciated. And I think he might have only got one England cap, maybe, or even might not have got any. I know he played for England B. I don't know if he actually got a full cap for England, Nigel Winterburn. And it's an absolute scandal that he didn't get at least 50 caps because he was just so consistent. And at the time, he was part of the best defence in English football. So I'm amazed he was overlooked so much. But anyway, I've got to pick him because I think he deserves more recognition outside of Arsenal because of how brilliant he was. And what a great servant of all. 500 or 560 odd games he played for Arsenal in his career. Fantastic.
Yeah, I think we're making a pattern up here of our ex-English players here. Fantastic players, but never got picked for England. I wonder why. There's a connection coming along here. I don't know what it is.
They just never got the recognition they deserved.
No, yeah, that's a good shout. Considering that from the outside of the fan base and outside the club, from that perspective, like John Lukich, yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's a recurring thing coming across here. England don't like Arsenal players. They're English, apparently. Oh dear. Melvin, who's your left back?
Right, what's the Assembled's real name?
I've never asked.
Do we know?
I've never asked. Why?
I don't know, because he's also mugged me off now. Because I had Flamini. Remember I was saying the two people that played in midfield that played, was that to move it around a bit. I thought Flamini because I didn't actually rate him when he first got in the team. I didn't see what he did. All of a sudden, it clicked on me what he was doing and how well he was doing it. And when he went to left back, he'd never played there. He was on his wrong foot, out of position, and you would never have known it. It got us to the final, and I think it was a bit. I know Cole's a fantastic player, but I can't believe that they dropped him for the final, and he never made any problems with him at all. Didn't shout and scream or anything. Never said a bad dicky bird. He came back afterwards as well. And he was very enthusiastic. He was good in the tackle. He spurred the team on. If he was playing today, he'd probably be, in my opinion, the captain of the team. We never have thought that when he was playing in the squad that we had then. But I just think he was very, very, very underrated, and I appreciated him in later years. The other back I had, hold on, there was another one, wasn't there? Perhaps there wasn't another back. No, there was one, but I'm not going to say it, so I just stick to that.
Has he been mentioned already?
No, he hasn't. For some reason, he hasn't. I can't believe it.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've got another three that was on my list actually of left backs that were underrated. You can't have Kenny Sampson wasn't underrated. He was the greatest left back ever played football.
Not from my perspective, anyway.
Who underrated Kenny Sampson? Come on, admit it. If you underrated Kenny Sampson, you really do need to watch another.
Have a word of yourself.
He was an amazing left back, wasn't he? One of the best left backs ever in the world, Kenny Sampson. He definitely wasn't underrated. Absolutely not. But anyway.
Oh, just threw me off that. All right, let's go for the midfield now. We're starting the right wing, or right forward, however you put it.
The wing.
We'll start with Melvin for this one.
It's if I put in Kenny Sampson on the right wing, I know it wasn't right-footed, but you might as well have someone like Liam Brady then, mightn't you? Know what I mean? But anyway, right wing, that's a difficult one. That's a difficult one for me because I ain't got any bloody right wingers. But we'll think about it. Let's have a look. Who could play right wing that might play right wing? It's a difficult one. I don't think I've got any fast wingers there. Bloody hell, you've got me. Can Richard do it? And I'll have to think, please.
Yeah, Richard could do it. Go on then, Richard. You've got a list of 55 people. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, I've got a few different choices, and there's a few players that I would like in the team as well. But if I have to pick a right-sided kind of player, it's got to have to be Theo Walcott because he was literally, I felt, probably in the top three underrated Arsenal players of all time. Because he never got the credit he deserved from Arsenal fans. He never got the credit he deserved from the media. And he never got the credit he deserved from anybody. And I thought he was a little bit hit and miss. He was in and out of games. But that's when you play as a wide player, you're gonna drift in and out of games. But the amount of people are Arsenal fans that even when he was playing, didn't seem to rate him. They seemed disappointed when he was picked in the team. He would get criticism. He would get stick every time he missed one chance. He would get criticised straight away. And I thought he was, at the time he played, he was one of the best finishers at the. Well, he probably was the best finisher at the club at the time he played. You know, some of the goals he scored, he was very cool in front of goal. He scored a lot of important goals in big games, cup semi-finals, cup finals, the big Champions League games. He always rose to the occasion. You know, and for me, he should have been. Yes, maybe I understand that he maybe didn't make the most of his career that he could have done. I think a few injuries and stuff, but for me, he should be considered to be one of the best Arsenal players of the Emirates era. He should be considered to be one of the best players of the Emirates era. 108 goals or something in 400 odd games, 1 in 4 for a player who played mainly as a wide player on the wing, as opposed to he did play through the centre a few times, but his goal scoring record was great, and I think he deserves a lot more credit. Theo Walcott, for me, has to be in any Arsenal underrated team, without a shadow of a doubt, all day long, even though there were other players I'd like to have included in that sort of position, but he has to be in there. He has to.
No, exactly. I'd Walcott as well, based on that. I mean, the guy scored 100 goals for the club, over 100 goals, sorry.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And it was like, I think, again, from the fan base perspective, because he was given, again, because he came in, was it 06, wasn't it? January 06. And straight away, the media put on him, the Henry protege, basically. He's going to be moulded into the English Henry. Yeah. He then got given the number 14 when it was a couple of years later. A lot of pressures got put on him, and the fan base did compare him to Henry a lot. Well, that's completely unfair on the players. He scored some massive goals, not just for Arsenal, for England as well, under Capello. In that World Cup against Croatia.
A hat-trick in Croatia he got. Youngest ever, was he the youngest ever Arsenal player, England player to score a hat-trick or something, wasn't he, at the time?
Literally. And I think that's still the case, I think. It
might well be, yeah.
But literally, he did all that for England, from that perspective. Fast forward to the World Cup itself, got dropped for fucking Aaron Lennon.
I know.
I was just like...
Incredible.
I wouldn't mind. He had the best season that season he could have possibly had.
It was at a time, right?
The most goals, everything.
When Theo Walcott was playing, I was still going to a lot of games at that point. And every time we used to see the team sheet come in, and if Theo Walcott wasn't in the team, I was disappointed, because he's one player that got you off your seat. You know, and yes, he would miss chances, and he didn't really want to tackle anybody and this, that, and the other. But you know, he would sort of play that. His pace was just electric, and he would just get you off your seat. He would excite you. Every time he got the ball, you'd think something's going to happen. You know, whether he was going to cross into the stands or whether he was going to actually score a goal. You're never really sure what was going to happen. But he got you off your seat and got you excited. And for me, I just love Theo Walcott. I just thought he was such a good player for Arsenal, and he was so underappreciated. And I feel a little bit sorry for him that he never got the credit he fully deserved for what I thought was a decent Arsenal career at a difficult time. Let's remember, he came into the team. The invincible team was being broken up. All those good players were leaving. We moved stadium. We didn't have any money. We were selling all our best players. He stayed all that time in a team that was really changing. And I thought he was brilliant with Van Persie. I thought them two had a great relationship. They really worked well together. A lot of goals they scored between them, setting each other up and stuff like that. And despite the changing in the team, he didn't have a great midfield behind him a lot of the time, and and he still produced the goods on a regular basis in the big games. You know, he's got more goals in big games than Thierry Henry ever did. And I'm not saying he's a better player than Thierry, because of course he's not, but he did score more goals in the big games, in the cup finals, in the semi-finals, and all this, that, and the other. You know, well, there you go. I mean, that comment there put Henry as underrated. Now, he didn't score in cup finals. No, he didn't, and he didn't score enough goals in big games, did he, Thierry Henry? Unfortunately, in the really big games, like you said, the cup finals, the semi-finals, the big Champions League games, this and the other. But yeah, Walcott did. League Cup final he scored in, FA Cup final he scored in, FA Cup semi-final he scored in, League Cup semi-final he scored in. You know, he scored goals in North London derbies, a lot of goals against Tottenham he scored. You know, he scored all the big games. Man United he scored. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the 2-0. Yeah, you know, he just scored lots of big goals in big games on a regular basis. Man United, he scored. Man City, he scored 2 goals away at the Etihad for Arsenal. I know we lost 6-3, but he scored 2 goals away at Man City at a time when, you know, he's probably the only Arsenal player to score 2 goals away at the Etihad for Arsenal in the game. So, you know, all these things that he achieved for Arsenal, and still people say, "Oh, Theo Walcott was shit. Theo Walcott wasn't good enough." I'm sorry, he was. He was a good player, really good player, and he needs to be appreciated more. by everybody.
I got a Theo Walcott signed shirt in Housey, and literally when I started up doing this thing over, I was doing it literally on a Periscope just to get started and all that. And obviously underneath it says Arsenal legend. And because I had just have it in the background, someone noticed it. He's not an Arsenal legend. I was like, for what? What? So, okay, first off, I didn't put that as someone else. I just bought it because I like the player. Don't ever go at me for that. But then I broke it down and said, look, just like you said, he scored over 100 at this time. He'd already scored over 100 goals for the club. He was still playing for us at the time as well. He went again. No matter what situation was, he always turned up when you needed him. I mean,
big games. He was a big game player. He was a big game player.
The 8-2 defeat we lost at old Man United.
He scored in that game.
He scored in that as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he scored a lot of goals against the big teams. Every time he always scored against Man City at the Emirates. He scored about 2 or 3 winning goals against Man City. You know, he just scored in the big games, and he did it on a regular basis. He probably was the fastest player. Yeah, he was. Do you remember that? Was it that Champions League game at Anfield, wasn't it, when he ran half the length of the pitch and set up Adebayor for that goal that briefly was going to put us into the semi-final? I mean, that was just amazing. And the run for Arshavin's 4th goal at Anfield as well in the league.
Similar position.
Similar. Yeah, he just, he was unplayable. He was just unplayable. And I think sometimes he was unplayable for himself. I think his legs moved faster than his brain could keep up sometimes. And that he sometimes looked a little bit awkward in certain situations. But he was a great finisher and he was a great player. 100-odd goals for Arsenal. Brilliant. And he deserved, he scored an FA Cup final. He scored in a League Cup final. I don't think any other Arsenal players ever done that, scored in a League Cup final and FA Cup final. I don't think they have for Arsenal. So, a lot of important goals. Brilliant player he was, Theo Walcott, and he needs a statue outside the Emirates to for his achievements, I think.
Even Stevens was saying he was a good player. No one could say he wasn't.
Well, people do though. People do say he wasn't. That's what annoys me because people do think he was rubbish, and he wasn't rubbish.
I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier on this particular topic here. The fact it was straight away as soon as he came in, the media hyped him up to be the English, like the Portuguese Henry, the English Henry.
Yeah, but that was Sven's fault for picking him in that World Cup, wasn't it? When he was never going to play him, he picked him when he was 16 at the World Cup, and when he just joined Arsenal, it's like that was ridiculous to do that, and that put the pressure on him. That was Sven's fault.
He didn't play in the World Cup either.
No, he was never going to play in it, was he? 16-year-old kid who'd not even hardly played in the Premier League. There's no way he was going to play in that World Cup. Stupid to take him. Good experience for him, but it was a wrong move because it did pile that pressure on him. Everybody expected him then to be the new Thierry Henry, and he was never going to be the new Thierry Henry because he was never going to be as good as Thierry Henry. But he didn't need to be. Everyone should just let him be himself. Be Theo Walcott, and he was the best Theo Walcott he could have been, and he was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's at Southampton now, isn't he?
I think the thing with Theo Walcott is as soon as he lost a yard of pace, he was never going to be as effective because that was his main weapon, wasn't it? And it was always going to be the case where he was never going to have a long career playing into his late 30s because I don't think he was able to adapt his game to cope for his lack of when he lost a little bit of pace. And you can see that's what's happened in the last few years. He's lost that little bit of pace and suddenly he's not the player he was. But luckily we got him. We got the best years of him at Arsenal, 10, 11 years, whatever it was he was at Arsenal for, we got those great years out of him. And he was a pleasure to watch. I enjoyed watching him play. And that's, for me, that's the most important thing. I just enjoyed watching him because of how exciting he was.
I'll be honest. I was when we sold Theo to Everton in that January window, when we bought Uber in and not long afterwards, I was gutted because I thought we could get at least another year and a half out of him before he started on that decline because of out in there sort of thing.
Well, we got rid of a lot of players at that time, which I was a bit disappointed about. That could have still done a job that were better than the players that we had. That was a strange time. Obviously, Wenger went as well soon after, didn't he? So I suppose that was a little bit of the reason. But yeah, there was a few players we let go then that we shouldn't have done maybe, but we could have kept for another year or two, and that might have helped the transition of the new manager a little bit more with a few better players there. But we got rid of them, and we end up where we are now. But anyway, Theo Walcott deserves a lot more credit than he gets. So he probably, as soon as you mentioned doing a show on underrated players, the first player that I wrote on my list was Theo Walcott, the first one. Because he is literally the most underrated Arsenal. I think he's the most underrated Arsenal player of all time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Melvin, if you had time to think now.
I found someone.
Brilliant!
Yesterday, didn't write it down. I think I can make a case for him.
Good.
I think this player was not. I think I appreciated him more when he finished playing for us for some reason. At the time, he was playing with some fantastic footballers. We were very successful, and he was like a sub. He come on, but he made and scored important goals, and he gave 100%. Perry Groves.
He's one on my list as well. Perry Groves on my list. He was the one I wanted to try and squeeze him in, but Theo Walcott pipped him to the post. But no, I agree with you. Perry Groves was very, very underrated. Come from Colchester. Who's this kid from Colchester? Nobody had heard of him. Nobody thought he's not going to be any good. And for what he was at Arsenal, 5 or 6 years, or six years, maybe a bit more than that. And he played a big part. He didn't start many games, but he played a big part in all those league titles and stuff that we won in that time. He played a big part, scored some really important goals, and I thought he was underrated. Good throw-in as well, didn't he? He took a good throw-in, Perry Groves.
He worried defenders, and also he made the goal for the winner in the League Cup final. I think he scored one of the goals away to Everton in the semi-final.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He scored against Tottenham a couple of times. I think I remember.
Yeah. So I just think he was never appreciated. We had the Alan Smiths at that time, and he was great.
Kev Campbell's,
all of them. But for me, he'd done a great job for us, and he wasn't the first on everyone's lips. And I only would go thinking back and watching the games again. You see things differently when you watch a game later on in years. I'm talking about.
Yeah, you do.
I just realise how good a player he was for us, and hats off to him. I mean, I'd like to see more of him actually, not as a footballer. He's a pundit, and I don't think.
He's good, isn't he? He's good.
I think we'll see more of him as a pundit. I think he's excellent.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he's got a good personality, hasn't he?
Terrific.
He's the only Arsenal pundit out there that no matter what won't get turned. He'll say it how it is.
His book's good as well, actually.
Yeah, very good.
His book is brilliant, actually.
We all live in a
Perry Groves Wonderland. Perry Groves World or something like that. Yeah. Brilliant. A brilliant book. He was a decent player for Arsenal, actually. Yeah, very, very underrated as well. But I enjoyed Perry Groves. His little Tintin haircut and that was brilliant.
Yeah, I think very short
shorts. Yeah, tight shorts and his Tintin haircut. Yeah, those were the days, weren't they? 1980s. What a time!
I think what sort of backed Melvin's argument up as well is a couple of years ago, the last charity match we did, the Arsenal Legends versus Real Madrid at the Emirates. Perry Groves was one of the ex-Arsenal legends.
Yeah,
was there.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And there's a fan that went on a certain channel. Not going to name. We obviously know what channel they went on afterwards. And he was like, "Why is Perry Groves here? We're scraping their barrel. Where's the real legends?" I'm like,
no respect. Sorry, no respect.
No. I was like, I'm literally standing there like, "Are you for real? Look, go and do your history." The guy was like,
"I never watched him play for the Arsenal."
Yeah.
No. But you know what? At Anfield '89, he was the player in possession of the ball when the final whistle went.
That's right, on the left wing. Yeah.
That's the thing. People, the younger generation, the younger fans, the fans that are younger than me, by the looks of it, they support the club for what it is, and when they as they're growing up, they don't really go and look back at their history and look at the players and really learn about who was this, that, and the other. So, but I heard that, and I was like, I'm literally looking at him like, "Are you for real? Go and do your fucking history. Go and learn about the player."
To be fair, I mean, I don't think I would consider Perry Groves an Arsenal legend in the true sense of the word, but he was a big part of Arsenal's history.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying.
He was underrated.
He was
underrated. Of course he was.
Yeah, but that's sort of how underrated he was, because the younger fans now hear that name and they don't. He
deserves his place in Arsenal's history.
Yeah,
he deserves his place.
They don't get that, as you say, how huge a part he played in Arsenal's recent history in the last 30-odd years as a player. They just immediately go to the likes of Berkeley. They go to the recent ones.
He's one of those players, because he came from like a lower league kind of situation. He knew what a big opportunity he had to play for Arsenal, and he made the most of it. He gave everything in every game he played, because he appreciated what he'd been given, the chance he would have been given. And he almost played for Arsenal like we would have. We would have done that if we played for Arsenal, wouldn't we? If we wasn't the same level of a player as some of the players around us, we would have just ran for the club every time we were on the pitch. And that's what he did. And for that alone, he deserves massive credit, because, he played in a successful Arsenal team when he maybe wasn't at that level as a footballer. He probably wasn't. Let's be honest. He probably wasn't a top-level footballer, but he played at the top level. He won 2 league titles. Not many players can say they've won 2 league titles. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And League Cup.
He earned those league titles as well.
And League Cup he won.
Yeah, he won the League Cup as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he won. He earned all those medals that he won as well. Yeah, every single one of them, and he deserves them as well. So brilliant. Yeah, he's a good shout. Actually, he definitely deserves to be in an underrated team.
Yeah, Melvin, do you want to take this? Do you want to deal with Colonel right now? Because this has upset me. He's put this in the chat. Charlie George is underrated.
Oh no! That's why all the fans used to sing "Charlie, Charlie, born as the King of Highbury" because he was underrated.
Yeah. He's the one who put Kenny Sampson as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's just one of the best Arsenal teams he's picking, not the most underrated. Anyway.
Yeah, no, we've done that now. Let's go for the midfield partnership. The two midfielders. We'll start with Richard again in this one.
I'm playing 4-3-3, by the way.
Midfield is an area that, again, a bit like centre backs. I think we've had a lot of players that, in the time I've been watching Arsenal, that would be considered to be underrated. Good players, very good players, and not maybe given the appreciation that they maybe deserved. So there's a big, massive list of midfield players that could be selected, which gives it. Which makes it good, but also makes it difficult to narrow it down to maybe two. Well, Xhaka certainly should be included in the list. I mean, the first one I want to pick is someone who, again, maybe back in the day a little bit, and again, I don't think he was really appreciated at Arsenal as much as he should have been, and certainly never at international level. Is Paul Davies. For me, Paul Davies was a magnificent footballer. And again, he played in the successful teams under George Graham. He fell out with George Graham a lot and didn't get to play much in the end. But he was such an elegant player. And when I first started going to Arsenal, early 80s, he was just kind of getting a regular game in the team. And he actually got quite a lot of, stick from the crowd, actually, Paul Davies, in the early days. And I don't know whether because people thought he was replacing Liam Brady because he was a left-footed midfield player and he was a totally different player to Liam Brady. And I don't know, he got a lot of stick for a while. And I used to, that maybe, because in the crowd you could hear him getting a few moans and groans every time he maybe gave the ball away or one of his passes didn't come off. It drew me to him even more. And because he was left-footed as well, I'm a left-footed player, so I'm always drawn to left-footed players anyway, naturally. And I just thought he was such a classy footballer, and he never got involved in any. I know obviously there was a Glenn Cockrell thing, but he never got involved in things off the pitch. He was a quietly spoken guy. You could clearly see he loved playing for Arsenal. He loved the opportunity that he had, and everybody I felt looked up to him, especially in later on in time when he'd been at the club a while. The young players all looked up to him. He was like the leader of that young group, wasn't he? The South London boys, with Rocastle and Thomas and Wrighty and all them. He was like the leader of that little group. And, you hear him now, he was on the 89 video, wasn't he, and stuff like that. And when you speak even now about Arsenal, you can clearly see that, Arsenal runs through him. I'm surprised he hasn't maybe done more work at the club, actually, because
there was a falling out, Richard. There was a falling out publicised.
Yeah, I know he's had fault, but, ultimately you've got, you're talking about Arsenal legends. People saying Theo Walcott's not an Arsenal legend. For me, Paul Davies is an Arsenal legend. Absolutely, 100%. He played nearly 500 games for the club. He won 2 league titles. He won the League Cup. He won the FA Cup, the League Cup. He won the Cup Winners' Cup. George kept picking him for the big games because he knew, even when they'd fallen out, he kept picking him for those big games because he knew what he was capable of doing. And that Cup Winners' Cup run in '94, he hadn't been playing much he didn't play much in the league all season, but he kept bringing him out for the Cup Winners' Cup games, and he was just suited to European football because he was so classy with the ball, and his passing was just incredible. And for like probably 10, 15 years of the first 10 or 15 years I watched Arsenal, he was one of my all-time favourite. I just love the guy. And he never seems to have ever been given a credit. I don't think he didn't get an England cap either, did he, Paul Davies? I think he was in the squad once, but had to pull out with injury because he did get a few injuries as well. But brilliant player. Yeah, Kevin Richardson.
Well, that's the one I'm going for. I can't believe it.
Kevin Richardson is another one. I mean, he was underrated.
I'm talking about him. I want to do him.
But see, Kevin Richardson wouldn't have played if Paul Davies hadn't got that ban because he came in for Paul Davies, didn't he, and kept his place. So he wouldn't have actually played if Paul Davies hadn't have smashed Glenn Cockrell early in that season. But Paul Davies, for me, I just love the guy. He's brilliant, and he should have been given a lot more credit for how good he was. And even now, I don't think we've had a more classy midfield player since he retired, actually, because I just think he's just was brilliant. If he could play now at his peak. He could play in the Premier League now because of his passing would be fantastic. You know, with a bit more pace around him, he'd just be fantastic. Paul Davies has got to be in the team. He's got to be.
Yeah, Melvin, I'll let you do it now because obviously we know you're going for.
Yeah, let me think. Kevin Richardson. I mean, can people read that? I mean,
they can just read your mind, Melvin.
Yeah, probably. I don't want to do that.
No, it's not a good idea.
Kevin Richardson, because no one spoke about him. He did a fantastic job. I thought he was probably our best player at Anfield at 89.
He was man of the match for me all day long.
Yeah, exactly. I thought he was out. Never got mentioned after the game, but he for me was the player. He never let us down. He did a great job in midfield, and I think one of his best goals he scored was away to Everton, his old club.
Everton, it was, yeah.
And we could never beat Everton away.
No.
And I tell you, once we won that game, I thought we're on for the league now. We've got over a big hurdle. We've proved ourselves now. We had some great results that year, but it was always Everton away for me was, how good are you? Can you actually beat Everton away to prove that you can do it away from home, up north? And I think we were 3-0 up. I think we finished 3-1, I think. And he scored a terrific goal. And we had a great performance from the team. And I come away from, I didn't go to the game, but after the game, I thought to myself, this is it. I saw it on whatever the match day, whatever it was. I thought, yeah, this is it now. We actually we put a marker down now. We could do it. I know we had a few more ups and downs before we actually did it, but that gave me the confidence that we could do it. So me, Kevin Richardson, all day long.
It's sort of one of them moments where it's in your head, it just plants in your head that, yeah, we're going to do this. It's like when it's like the 98 season, like the Overmars moment when he scores that goal, does the Cantona impression. From an Arsenal fan, you're thinking, we're going to come back and do this and do the title. 2002, even the Invincible season, there's moments there you're thinking our luck's got to run out at some point, but we just kept kept getting the results. And I think the moment for me, in my belief of us winning that title, was Arsenal. Good Friday against Liverpool at home. Who's been knocked out of the Champions League and FA Cup the week build up prior to it. Confident was absolute on its knees, and as I said, it was a Good Friday, and we went. Was it 1-0 down, back to 1-1, then 2-1 down just before half time, and the second half was just like the Arsenal we've been seeing all season. But it came up. I've got a DVD called Invincibles, and obviously got like Martin Keane and all that. And Martin Keane actually said he wasn't playing that day. He walked into the change room and he asked boss, "Can I have a chat with the players?" And sort of try and boost them about and all that. He said, "Yeah, no problem, go on, knock yourself out." And he basically said that a bit of again, you don't really. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to go and beat, not just win the title, but to go undefeated. We can't let this slip. If we let this slip, we'll never have this opportunity again, and all that. It's just that. And you see him come out that second half like different animals, straight from the offset, bang 2-2, bang 3. And it was Henry's goal when he literally got it from the half, pretty much just outside the halfway line, and just run with it, past Hamann, past Carragher, and then literally just put it on the other side, past Dudek. And from that game onwards, I was like, "Yeah, we're going to win this." At 14, I was like, 14. We're going to win this. We're going to win the title. And my dad was asking me, "What are you on about? What do you mean? There's so many games to go." I was like, "We haven't lost a game all season, and we've just done that on a moment where things look like they're going to fall apart for us. We're going to bottle it like we did the year before. We're doing things, and it was just that it's all them sort of moments." So I get where where you're coming from now, because it's always entitled to get their moments. We did have that moment of Welbeck, but then the team just bottled it years later. Talking about the Invincibles, I've gone for Edu in my midfield. Very underrated. He's a squad player, especially in that Invincible season.
Yeah,
because he came in the 01-02 season. He came in the summer 2001, so he's part of the double winning team as well. But especially in that Invincible season, he scored goals in all competitions that basically kept us in them competitions, respectively, and kept us unbeaten. And because we had Gilberto and Vieira being the main two, and even Gilberto to an extent was underrated until he got injured in 2005. And people didn't really realise what he'd done for the club. I thought Edu really didn't get the plot again.
He was class. He had a class left foot.
Yeah, he was, and certain parts of the fan base and the media just didn't give him the sort of respect that he merited, because again, he was a squad player. He never complained either. He was a model professional. Never heard anything kick off.
But you see, this in a way, I kind of agree with you actually, because I think he was a decent player, Edu, actually. But you've got two midfield players that for me could both be selected in this underrated team, which is Arteta and Edu, right? Both of them could be, because they were both maybe slightly underrated as a player, but now they're in the two big positions at the club, and they were kind of players that were just down from the level that some of the other players that we've had, and I don't know that they have now got these two big positions at the club. So as much as I agree, Edu and even Arteta were underrated as players probably for Arsenal, I just wouldn't want to select them in a team, because at the minute they're not really they're doing jobs at the clubs that they shouldn't be doing.
Well, when he was playing for us, that season you're talking about, round about January time, Edu bought this fantastic, I think, Lamborghini, and he spent more money then than he did this break.
He did, yeah.
I was going to have him in the fun there, but I thought I might start upset a few people in the fan base and in the old subs and all that. But why is he doing that? He just let us down. Da, 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 da. But no,
I don't think it's Edu's fault. I think the owners are giving him no money, so I don't blame Edu or Arteta for this transfer window. I just don't think either of them are the right people for the jobs they're in, regardless of whoever we bought this January. It makes no difference. I felt that for a while, but they've got their job and we have to support them. But it just kind of shows me, the fact that Edu and Arteta both could be in this team, this underrated Arsenal team. They both could be in there, and I think we could all put a case for them to be in there. The fact they've got these two big jobs at Arsenal. I'm not necessarily saying you have to be a great player to be a great manager. I'm not saying that's necessarily the reason, but I don't know. I don't know. That's maybe the level that we're at. The level that they were as players maybe is the level of manager and director of football that we've got, maybe. But anyway. Yeah. I agree. He was a good player. He was a decent player. Good left foot. Again, another good left-footed player, wasn't he? Good left foot in the midfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is always good.
His free kicks weren't bad either. There's a couple in the 03-04 season in the league, Chelsea in the league at Highbury. I think it was Celta Vigo away.
He got a couple of goals in that game, didn't he? Yeah. There was an Edu who played for Celta Vigo, scored twice. Edu scored twice. So it was like Edu scored and then Pires scored the winner. But
he did a lovely, he just flicked the ball past the United defence, threw it for what's his name? The French guy scoring the FA Cup away. Wiltord, that was a good ball there. Beautiful goal, just like a little wand.
Edu scored the first goal in that. Well, it was a deflected free kick, actually, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And he got a deflected free kick at Anfield as well. The year that Invincible season, it was a free kick that got deflected in as well at Anfield.
He hit it on top of his leg and it went into the gut. Yeah, rolled in.
Yeah. So he's had a few. He had a few good moments for Arsenal, actually. To be fair,
he got the assist for Perez's winner as well in that game.
We nearly never got him. Wasn't there a problem with his passport or something?
Yeah, that was the year before. Yeah, we bought him, but he couldn't play, could he? Because of work permit or passport or something.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh dear. I mean, Ender's mentioned Rosicky. I think he's in my team, but that's on the other side.
But was he underrated, Rosicky? He was injured. No, he was a great player. But he was injured all the time, wasn't he? So he hardly played. That was
again, not particularly from a fan base perspective. I think again from the outsiders, basically the ones.
I don't know. He was called Little Mozart, wasn't he, by everyone who watched him play? So I don't think he was underrated.
Wasn't it? And Wenger said if you don't appreciate Rosicky, you don't know football. Basically, you don't know football.
Was it Dortmund he was at before, wasn't it?
He was at before. That's what we bought him from.
Yeah, because I remember he played well against us when he played for Dortmund.
It was literally like the 02. I think it was the 02-03 season in the Champions League. He played against us along with Lehmann, ironically. And he scored a penalty against us away at their place. And then obviously we bought him a few years later. Rosicky, I mean. And I remember we bought him. We just got the deal done before the World Cup, and everyone's going to me. thank God you've done that, because if you messed about and dragged it out to join the World Cup, the prices would go up. Trust me. I was like, okay. So what's the World Cup? And Czech Republic versus USA.
A very good player. He was a very good player.
The Czech Republic played the USA, and I sat down and watched that game because I thought, you know what, he's playing as well, and he scored 2 absolute belters. And I was like, oh, fucking fantastic! Bring on next season. Fuck the World Cup.
Yeah, he was brilliant, Rosicka. Yeah, absolutely brilliant player. Just a shame of his injuries, really, because he could have been.
He had one bad injury, one enormous injury.
One enormous injury.
Yeah, that took 2 seasons off his career, didn't it? That's that one injury.
Exactly. And he came back and he still did it for us. No, great player.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
He was different.
Not enough games he played, though, did he? He didn't play enough games. What a shame.
No. Well, 2 years.
Yeah.
Lee Akerson's in the chat. He's saying I think he's talking about the Invincible season itself. He said we sort of had at least another double that season. Yeah. I still can't believe to this day Wenger's decision to pick Eddie Air over
I went to that game.
Final.
Yeah, Villa Park semi-final. Yeah,
that semi-final. Yeah, that semi-final. It was my sister's birthday that day, so I was out. With the family and all that, because he was like 7 or 6 at that time on her birthday. And there's a party thing, but me and Richard's family we all went and all that. And I'm literally, as we're coming back, as we got through the door, it's like they've scored. I'm like, oh, for God's no. And
we never turned up. Another semi-final.
Never turned up. It was just one of them days where it just didn't click for us at all. Nothing was going for us. One attack for them, and it's like bang.
Disappointing. That was a disappointing game. That really was.
And what made it worse for me is a few days later, it was the Champions League second leg. We just come up, and obviously
it was a game against Chelsea. Yeah,
we're thinking, wow, hey, we are at the time the experienced Champions League team with all due respect, and we're on home turf. And in Vegas, there's another one actually, an honourable mention there. I think it was a bit.
Don't keep mentioning players I want to mention.
Okay, I'll leave it to you. And Lee, we mentioned Lauren. I mentioned he's Lauren's in my team. We did mention Lauren earlier. Lee, Chris is in the chat. Says I've only been to one Arsenal game in my lifetime. Haleb looked like a top player. Yeah, very short stinted though, because obviously I think he came in just before he left the last season of Ivory, didn't he? And then obviously stayed a couple of years at the Emirates, and then Barcelona came calling just before they hit their height, and he went to his head basically. And he's the one player at the time that leaving Arsenal, it didn't work out for him, because after he left us, his career just went.
That took quite a few of them with Barcelona from us.
Yeah, but I think he's out of all the ones that have gone, like the Overmars, Batiz, him, Silvino, obviously Sass gone really late on down the line. He's the one that really didn't go well for him at all. I think after one season they kept loaning him out, didn't they?
I don't think it went too well for Alex Song either, did it?
No, but obviously, look, I mean, he was never going to. He went for the money, because he was never going to get in the midfield of Busquets, Xavi, and Iniesta. He just went there just to be part of the Barcelona team.
I thought was magnificent for us.
Clever, yeah, he was. He was again.
City, Fabregas. Oh, come on, that's proper football.
If them three stay together, along with Nasri, them four stay together longer, at least another 12 to 18 months longer, I think we would have won a league title under them. No matter who was
close, didn't we? But when our great goalkeeper, Amunia, palmed one out in the last minute against Birmingham in the air.
I was watching that. I'm literally watching that DVD the other day. I'm literally thinking, I remember this game. I'm literally up to this point, believe we're going to win the title. This is a game I believe we weren't going to do it. And the ball literally just, I see the ball go to Kevin Phillips. And he just goes, boom. It wasn't the hardest shot either. And all Amunia does is goes like that. It just loops over and goes in. I don't know
if did someone head it in or did it go straight in?
No, literally the shot. He went up in the air and it just dropped and went in the goal. No one went near it.
Oh. I was at a pub. I remember going to a pub, watching it in a pub with a few friends. And after that, the goal went in and I went right in the toilet, I banged the wall. I just banged it in such frustration. I thought, no, what are you doing? Because we were all over him. Yeah. We were all over him.
And at that point,
actually, the ref would have stopped it.
Yeah. I think at that point, if we'd won that game, I think the momentum would have kicked on and we would have gone and won it that season. But that knocked everything out. And we just dropped the ball.
That needed to be an Arsenal fan, as it was. I just remembered.
Yeah. Especially in the Emirates there, anyway. But it is what it is, isn't it?
Right.
Stoops on the Stoops asking, did you all see my music video? The transfer window is closed. I did. I think Mike or Gary retweeted it, one of the two, and I saw it. I was like, it's really good actually, because it was out literally within half hour, the window closing. Chris is saying for Liverpool, our most underrated player was Sami Hyypiä. Yeah, good. That's a good shout for Liverpool. We'll do that one day.
He was good. Yeah, he was decent.
No, for Liverpool. No, but for me, you're saying from his perspective, as a Liverpool fan, at that time.
I agree. I thought
he was magnificent.
Yeah,
I thought he was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the fans again, they just don't really appreciate what they had in front of them at the time, especially nowadays. They've got Van Dijk. We've done one midfielder, haven't we? Who's your partner? I went for Denilson myself. Again, the reason I went for Denilson is because he's one of them. Wasn't a big name, and obviously he had the famous. Obviously, his uncle played in the Brazil squad in 2002. Something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But basically, apart from that, he didn't live off his uncle's name. He didn't go look. Do you know who my uncle is? But the family name thing. He just went about, did his job. And he was a grafter. Yeah, he made the odd mistake. He'd have the odd clang of a game here and there. Once in a blue moon. He was committed to he was completely committed to the cause. You never heard him kick up a fuss if he was benched or out of the team for a bit and had to work his way back into the team. And when we sold him, I was told via the grapevine that when he was told he was being outed, that he was genuinely crying and upset that he had to leave Arsenal. He didn't want to leave.
He scored our first goal of the season away to Everton, I think.
He did, that was a great goal, wasn't it? We won 6-1.
Fantastic goal.
Yeah.
But I'd say
what I thought came to him, just hit it, sent it away from his body.
But I'd say what I thought. When I first saw him play for the Arsenal, I thought, we've got one here. This is another Fabregas in the making. Time on the ball. Great players have time on the ball, and that's what he had. But he never improved, in my opinion.
He never matured, yeah.
I thought he was a bit disappointed. I was disappointed because I thought we had one, and he never quite pushed on.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Richard? Who's your next one? We'll leave Melvin's one till we know what Melvin's got.
Well, again, a lot of choice. A lot of players deserve an opportunity to be in an underrated Arsenal 11 in midfield. But I'm going to have to go with someone that I'm one of the last left standing who wants to support him. Granit Xhaka for me, because nobody seems to rate him apart from me. So I think that he's definitely an underrated player. I don't think too many people really appreciate what he does because he's not a Patrick Vieira type midfield player, because he's got different strengths. But you can see for me when he's not playing how important he is when he's not there. He holds the midfield together. He's the only experienced player we've got really in that position, and he starts a lot of our great attacks. Our best goal of the season, one of our best goals of the season against Tottenham, he started by winning the ball, and it started that move for, I think it was the Aubameyang goal against Tottenham. He plays a massive part in getting the ball off the goalkeeper on the edge of the box and starting that. He's so important to the way we play. And I don't know, again, maybe him being left-footed as well maybe swings him a little bit in my favour, but I actually do think he is. No, I'm not one of that. I actually do think he is underrated. I do think he's a lot better player than people give him credit for. He's a lot more important to our team than people give him credit for. And yes, I'm not saying that we're going to go on and win these trophies with him in the team, but we're not going to win trophies with half our team at the minute, and none of the others get as much stick as he does. So I don't know. I feel as though he is, for this team being underrated, he definitely fits that category. Because nobody rates him, and so he's definitely underrated. He's got all them caps for Switzerland. He's captain of Switzerland. He's played regularly for Arsenal. He picked from every manager at Arsenal's picked him. All the clubs he played at before, he was a regular in the team. He's a regular in the Switzerland team, and he's a very, very good football player, and nobody gives him credit. So he deserves to be bigged up on a rare occasion, an opportunity to big him up, and obviously an underrated team. It's the opportunity to be bigged up, because that's exactly what he is. He is, again, along with Theo Walcott, he would be in the top 3 most underrated Arsenal players I've seen, I think, for the criticism that he gets for what he doesn't deserve, because he's not anywhere near as bad as everyone says he is. And I think that needs to be, people need to I understand that he isn't that bad. He isn't as bad as everyone says he is. He's suffered by not having someone decent alongside him. If he played in a better Arsenal team, no one would be criticising him. If he played alongside Patrick Vieira, no one would be criticising him because he'd be doing the Gilberto job, and everybody was saying, "Oh, he's a silent hero because he gets on and does his job." But he has to do the job more than that because he's got so much shit around him, and he's exposed a lot, and he gets caught out. He's not the quickest. He can't move. He's not the most mobile, but on the ball, he does remind me a little bit of Paul Davies in a way. He's not the same player. He's nowhere near as good, but he reminds me a little bit of him in the way that he moves the ball. The way that he moves around the pitch, the way he moves the ball. Because Paul Davies wasn't the quickest. Paul Davies wasn't the most mobile player. But I just think Granit Xhaka for me is underrated, and that's the fact.
You know something, Richard? If I ever go to court, I'm in trouble. I want you to be my solicitor. You make such a good case.
You'd be innocent anyway, Melvin, so you wouldn't need to worry, would you?
No, I just say, Richard, do me a favour. I've been done. They got me red-handed. I think you're the man to get me off.
Well, I'll certainly try.
Oh,
Right.
dear.
I'm going for
Melvin, go on.
No, I'm going for someone else. No, I'm switching it around a bit here. I'm going to go midfield. I think Richard would have seen him play a few times. Stuart Robson.
Yeah, he's on my list as well. Yeah, he was brilliant, wasn't he?
Oh, brilliant player, but underrated. What did Stuart Robson? He had some injuries, and I think when George Graham came in, George Graham thought, I'm going to make a clean sweep here. Anyone's got any injuries or anything, I want a young team. I want a team to mould on what I want them to do. Stuart Robson, I think, was captain for a while as well. And I think the knee wasn't great. And I think he didn't want to take that chance, George. He wanted to just, do. And he brought he brought Richardson in, so it wasn't like the end of the world. But for me, he used to run that midfield for me, Robson, by himself. He came in as a kid, and he was like a man after a couple of games.
Didn't he have to retire when he was like about 26 or something, didn't he?
His knee,
because of his injuries.
Yeah. Coventry or something.
Yeah. Coventry, yeah. Well, that was his last game, wasn't it? The last game of his professional career was at Highbury for Coventry when they won 3-0 first game of the season. He got injured in that game, and he never played after.
Is that right? I remember a game against Tottenham where he smashed twice Roberts.
Yeah,
He got sent off. And you've got to be you've got to be very, very stupid or brave to do something like that.
Do you remember that? Do you remember the FA Cup? Do you remember the FA Cup semi-final 1983 at Villa Park against Man United? In that first half of that game, he absolutely ran that game. And then early in the second, or was it just before half time? Remy Moses kicked the shit out of him, and he had to come off, and they ended up beating us. We were winning at half time, and he just got kicked out of that game.
Woodcock, didn't he? Petrovic made the goal for Woodcock. I went to that game.
Yeah, well, Robson almost scored it. Petrovic made the goal. Robson pretty much scored it, but it was rolling in, and Woodcock ran in and tapped it in for about a yard.
Yeah.
So, but he was brilliant that first half. Robson absolutely ran that game. It's like, wow, he was like a man possessed, and then he got kicked out of the game just before half time. It was Remy Moses. It was on purpose as well. It wasn't like it wasn't a sly little tackle. He absolutely wiped him out. To get him out of the game. And he didn't come out in the second half. We brought Lee Chapman on, and we lost, obviously.
Funny old game. But anyway, that's for me, Stuart Robson.
Yeah, no, he was a good player, Stuart Robson. Really good player. Yeah, I loved him. Yeah.
Obviously, I mentioned already Vasiki's in my team for the wing, so we got past that. We've always mentioned Vasiki anyway. So it was. What about yourself, Melvin?
What's his for?
For the left wing.
Reyes.
Yeah,
I think he came for a lot of money. We expected a lot out of him, and he hit the ground running. And then I thought he was a little bit in Henri's shadow. I don't think they seem to play well with each other to a degree. I felt there was a little bit. I was imagining it, resentment or something, because he was getting all the plaudits to start with. Ray, I thought he was a terrific player. He got kicked. Talk about people getting the shit kicked out of them in the United game. We can talk about
United
that.
50.
Well, why did they do that, Melvin? They did that because they knew how dangerous he was.
Exactly.
That's why they did
and I think they probably knew, Richard, that if they that's the type of player they could get at. The others are just kicked back. I think.
Yeah. A few weeks prior, we played him in the community. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think that he was terrific. He made a lot of goals for Henri. He scored some fantastic goals as well. He ran his heart out. He was kind of two-footed as well, really, to a degree. And I just think I just loved watching him play. I mean, let's face it, he was around some great footballers. That's probably why, in my opinion, he was underrated a bit as well. But for me, I just love watching him play. And I think he definitely should get in my underrated team.
Yeah, no, he was a great player. James Antonio Reyes, yeah, brilliant play. Do you remember that the game against Middlesbrough when it looked like we'd blown our unbeaten run? Yeah. We were 3-1 down, and we came back, and he got that brilliant goal at the end when he cut in.
That was right footed, wasn't it? That was right footed.
He scored with his right foot. He's left-footed mainly, but he scored that one with his right foot.
Done it with his right foot.
Yeah, what a goal that was. I think that was the goal that made it 5-3 and basically sealed the win. And it was like, wow, what a goal that was! Brilliant.
What a game that was, mate. What a game!
What a game! Yeah, that was incredible. That looked like we'd blown it. 41 games. The record was 42. That was the 41st game. We were 3-1 down at home to Middlesbrough. You're thinking this isn't going to happen. It's not going to be Middlesbrough we lose to not get the record. Bergkamp scored the goal that started the comeback, and then Reyes got that brilliant goal. That was a great player.
Yeah, Ray Parler just left, and obviously that's the first day. Obviously, he was captain for that game. Obviously, because that was the thing to do back then. If you went back to your former club, give him the armband for the day. No, but I think literally, as they say, Bergkamp got the goal back into the game. I think, and literally, it was immediately from the kickoff. I think it was. Well, we got the ball back, and straight away, bomb to him, and he literally bang, bomb, goal. And
that goal was
one of my favourite goals.
I'll never ever forget that goal, just for what it meant as well, because of how important it was for that run. And fantastic goal. And I mean, he was a great player, and he never really got the credit he deserves. Actually, that's a good shout out, Melvin, because he probably was really underrated, wasn't he? Even now in the Premier League, I bet most people don't remember Antonio Reyes playing for obviously Arsenal. Yeah. And he was brilliant. Yeah, he was.
And talking about, obviously, we mentioned the 50th when he got the living shit kicked out of him, quite literally.
Yeah.
If you remember right, a few weeks prior, obviously before the season started, the curtain raiser, we played United in the Community Shield, didn't we? And he tore strips off him in that game, so they were a bit.
That was why they did it. Yeah, they knew what he could do to him.
Because they knew. They're like.
I remember. I went away. We played away to Fulham. That game.
I remember that.
Doing nothing, and all of a sudden he came to light, and he won the game for us by himself. I think he might have scored a couple or something.
I think he did score at least one.
Yeah, scored a winning goal. Is that because that was when Fulham ground showed the QPR? It was the Invincible season. It was a 0-0 drab, and literally he comes on. He hits it from Van der Sar and taps it in.
No, it wasn't that one.
It wasn't that one.
No, you're talking about the one we won 3-0, aren't you, Melvin? At Craven Cottage.
That one.
That one as well.
Sit behind the goal. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that was. He won that game for us. He was a match winner, wasn't he? On his day, he could win matches for us, and he did a lot of times as well. Some of the goals he scored were absolutely brilliant. Yeah, he was a great player actually, and largely forgotten maybe by a lot of people, as we said, other than the Arsenal fans, with the impact that he made. But I mean, there was a Man United player, I can't remember who it was now, it said, I don't know if it's in the book or something, I've definitely read it somewhere, that before that game against that 50th game, right, Alex Ferguson had basically said, in his team talk before that game, he basically said to Man United, just don't let Arsenal play, just kick them, kick the shit out of them, it's the only way, we can't match them for football, they'll beat us.
I heard a different story. It wasn't Alex Ferguson.
Who was it? It was somebody said that.
The referee said it.
Oh, yeah, it might have been the referee, yeah.
Probably, yeah, it makes sense, actually.
But that was their tactics that day, was literally to go out and kick us, because they knew if we played football against them, we'd beat them. Yeah, because we were a much better team than them at that point, and obviously that's what they did. They kicked us at to bits in that game, and that was that. But yeah, Antonio Reyes, that was he was a great player actually.
So rest in peace, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that sort of come after that 50th game, that kicking the shit out of Arsenal became a running thing, didn't it? Because obviously it's all Eduardo a few years later.
Yeah, well, I don't think Reyes really recovered from that, did he? After that, he never really
mentally. No, it was
he never got his form back really on a consistent basis after that. Really, that kind of killed his career. Really,
he just didn't feel protected, didn't he? You wouldn't, would you? Either you wouldn't feel protected from the officials. Up to that point, you think, okay, cool, doing your business. Out of nowhere, the referee's allowing the opposition to kick the living daylights out of you and not even book the person. What's that going to do to you mentally?
I'm surprised it wasn't a brawl.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I think the referee was lucky left.
It was the season before, wasn't it, when it all kicked off?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the O'Neill, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Nestor and his antics.
That was the season before, yeah. But anyway.
What about yourself, Richard? For the left wing.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've had some good left wingers actually over the years, and good players who've played there. But one that maybe for me underrated quite a lot. Maybe he wasn't at Arsenal a massive amount of time, but he certainly made a big impact. But again, a lot of people maybe would have forgotten about the impact that he made. So I am going to pick for left wing Brian Marwood.
Oh, he was one of mine. I mean, I wouldn't have put him in my first 11. He was a reserve.
Yeah, he was a great player. He only really played for Arsenal for 2 years, but in that '89 title season, until he got injured, he was brilliant that season.
He was unbelievable.
12 goals or something like that in the season. He was just fantastic. And again, he was another player who didn't really get a lot of recognition. He never played for England, I don't think. And I know he was a little bit. George Graham didn't like him because he was on the PFA board, and he was, kind of. George maybe felt that he had a little bit too much influence on the players a little bit, and I think that's why George ended up getting him out of the club. But for those sort of 2 years that he played, I thought he was a brilliant player for Arsenal. Some of his crossing was just incredible, wasn't it? He could put a ball. I know obviously he had Alan Smith as a target man, but he could just put a ball exactly where it needed to go. He just whipped it in, bang, and it was a goal. I don't know how many assists he got, because no one really cared about assists back then. But I bet he got loads of assists that title-winning season. He must have done,
and also he scored a lot from his corners as well with Bold and Adams.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, because he was just a brilliant. He could put a ball in. Fantastic.
And also, I love that goal he got, Richard, away to Notts Forest. I think we beat 4-1.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday as well, actually, on YouTube. I saw it
yesterday. When it come on. Yeah. What a goal! Loved it. I remember watching it live.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. Brilliant.
He missed a penalty in that game, actually, didn't he?
That's right, yeah.
And in the first half, and because he'd been going for a really good run, he was scoring loads of goals, and then he missed a penalty in the first half of that game. And I thought he was having a bad game after. It affected his confidence. And then last few minutes, we got a breakaway from one of their corners or something it was, wasn't it? And then the ball comes to him, fantastic first touch, took it around the keeper, rolled it in. They said you never beat Des Walker. Well, Brian Marwood did.
Oh, Des Walker, he went round.
That's what I said. No one beats Des Walker except Brian Marwood.
No,
only Brian Marwood. That's it. He was the only one ever. But yeah, that was brilliant. He was a great player, Brian Marwood. And it's a shame, again, a bit injury prone towards the end. He didn't play a lot in his second season because he got a lot of injuries. But and he fell out with George Graham, which was never a good idea. But he was a great player. And I think he's maybe a bit underrated as well. I think Arsenal fans at the time loved him. Brian Marwood on the wing, but I don't know. I just feel as though overall he maybe didn't get the credit outside of Arsenal that he should have done, because again, brilliant player who helped us win a league title. You don't get that deserves credit on its own, doesn't it? But yeah, I think he deserves to be in my team, Brian Marwood.
Right.
Now for the strikers, we'll start with Melvin for this one.
Right, this one again. What I did purposely, gentlemen, I wanted to do ones a little bit older because I thought we'd cross over a lot, but it's bloody happened anyway, but never mind. But anyway, I've gone for Brian Kidd.
Ooh, Brian
He was a terrific player, got lots of goals for us. We weren't particularly successful with him in the team, and that's because we're going through a funny period.
Yeah.
It was quite barren, and we weren't playing well. We were getting, one season, I think he was playing for us. It was like we looked like we were going down, I'll be honest with you. It was that bad. We were quite low, and we couldn't buy a win. But he was forever running after every ball, scoring goals with his head. His bravery was his left foot, and he was. But as I say, he wasn't the. See, we had McDonald just before that, and we had Stapleton, who were great players. And he came into the team. Before that, he came in after Charlie George.
Radford.
And Radford. I think he played with Radford for a little part, anyway, for a little bit. And he never, I don't think he got the recognition he deserved, because I thought he was a terrific footballer, really, really good, and did a great job for us. I think we're lucky to get him. I think we bought him for the same money that we sold Kennedy for, I think £200,000. We sold Kennedy at Liverpool and bought him from United. That was one of the better deals we've done with Man United. No, I think he'd be up top for me anyway.
Well, he won the European Cup with Man United, didn't he?
He scored, didn't he?
He scored in the final, yeah.
Richard, what about yourself?
Well, again, I mean, there's lots and lots of strikers that we've had. These ones aren't in my team, but I think they deserve a mention. Yaya Sanogo, who I thought was brilliant in the 2014 FA Cup final when he came on, actually. I know he wasn't a great player, but he made a big impact in that cup final. 2014 cup final when he came on as a sub, he was brilliant, actually. So I think he deserves a mention for that. He's not going to get in the team, but he deserves a mention. Another player that deserves a mention, I think, is Davies as well. He only played basically one season. You know, another left-footed player. I like the left-footed players, but he was a great player, actually, and he had a decent season in the end, but it never quite worked for him, and he was probably quite underrated. But the first striker I'm going to pick, again, another player that I think would be in the top 3 all-time underrated Arsenal players, Olivier Giroud. Got to be in there. The most handsome man ever to play football in history, but also as well, again, another player over 100 goals for Arsenal. Great goal scoring record, some great goals, again, some big goals in big games. Really, really good player and really underappreciated by the Arsenal fans. And since he's left, he's the one, his style of play is the one thing that we're massively missing. And I know he's too old now. I wouldn't say we should sign him back, but that kind of a player is what we need. And I just don't feel he was ever appreciated enough by the Arsenal fans. He got a lot of stick. People said he this, that, and the other, and he cost us the league title in 2016. I don't know how he did that, but anyway, that's what people say, and this, that, and the other. But I think his all-round game, his touch on the ball was brilliant. He scored some amazing. Another left-footed player again. I don't know. It must just be left-footed players I like this because I'm left-footed. I don't know. And you know, some of the goals he scored, the Scorpion one. That was a great goal, and just his all-round play. I just thought he had such a great touch on him for a target man centre forward. He reminded me quite a lot, and I had this conversation with Alan Smith actually once at a game. I said that he reminded me quite a lot of Alan Smith in his style of play, his touch on the ball, where he could bring other people into it. Alan Smith was left-footed as well, so another similarity. And he could score with his head. He made them great runs to the near post, got so many goals like that. I just felt he was so because he wasn't rapidly fast. Everybody criticised him. He's not good enough. Well, no, he just wasn't fast. That's all. He just wasn't very quick. You know, he lacked a little bit of pace. And if he'd had that pace, he would have been an incredible player. But he wasn't. But you could see his international goal scoring record. He's won the World Cup. He's won so many trophies, obviously with Chelsea as well. And I just think that I don't know why even now Arsenal fans wouldn't look on Giroud with particularly with much. I don't think with much appreciation for what he brought for us. But again, over 100 goals for Arsenal in what was it, 300 odd games, whatever it was he played. You know, good servant to the club and great-footed. I'm right-handed actually. I'm left-footed and right-handed for some reason. But anyway, no, Olivier Giroud for me he's definitely in the top 3 underrated all-time Arsenal players because he never gets credit for how good he was. And if we had a player like him now, everyone would be saying, "Oh, fantastic! That's what we need. That's what we need." And because we haven't got one, no one seems to think, "Well, actually, we had one, and no one appreciated him. We had him for what 6-7 years, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's Giroud. He's crap." No, he wasn't. He was absolutely fantastic player, and his first touch was incredible. He had such a great first touch on the ball, and some of the goals he scored,
even some of the assists. I mean, what was it? One of the assists he got against Leicester in that 15-16 season at home. Well, Walcott got the equaliser. He's the one that knocked it down to him.
But he did that all the time. Yeah. He worked really well. He worked really well with Walcott. He worked really well with Sanchez when Sanchez played. He worked really well with Ozil. They all combined really well. And it's just a shame that maybe that team did go on and achieve more success because I think they would have got the appreciation that they deserved. But for me, Giroud was a fantastic footballer. And I mean, you know, he's still scoring goals now, isn't he? You know what I mean? So, he deserves credit for what he did for Arsenal. So I would definitely put him as my centre forward. And I think he deserves to be in there 100%.
Yeah, that's a good shout. And I think just to add to that with Giroud, I mean, he was, again, from a striker perspective, again, he was brought in to be second choice. People forget that he was brought in to be a backup to Van Persie. But our fan base, a bit, again, looking at it, were really spoiled over the years, building up to that, because we had obviously Van Persie, Adebayor, Eduardo, and then obviously John Rees, the Bergkamps, and all that, Viltors and Carners, all the years gone by. None of them would sort of come near the sort of style of what he was as a striker. As soon as we had a striker that was not the typical pacey striker we used to, the fan base went up on one. They didn't appreciate what he did.
Yeah, he was. I think he was the nearest player to Alan Smith that we'd had since Alan Smith. And we hadn't had a centre forward because we played a different style, and maybe it was Arsene Wenger maybe looking at a different option up front. And in the end, he was a regular striker for a while. He became the second option later on, didn't he? Before he left, he was a sub a lot and came off the bench and scored a few important goals. Do you remember that one at Old Trafford, last minute equaliser at Old Trafford, where he come off the bench, headed it in last minute? You know, he did that quite a lot, didn't he? He got a lot of those kind of goals, important goals in big games as well, a bit like Walcott, really. So again, he scored an FA Cup final, didn't he, against Aston Villa for Arsenal. So yeah, I think he deserves a lot of credit for Olivier Giroud, and he was literally the most handsome. Well, he still is the most handsome man ever to play for Arsenal, I think. So he should be in a team on that basis alone. Great beard, great hair, just an absolute Adonis of a man. And yeah, it's great to watch him play for Arsenal all those years.
Well, just very quickly about him, what went against him, in my opinion, was he had a very strange way of running. He ran with his, how can I explain, with his chest.
Yeah, he did run a bit funny. Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah. But I, you know what? You're right what you say, Richard. It's a great call. That I think that's one of the best calls of the night, because with him, you didn't realise what he was until he went. You don't realise how much you miss someone like that. I was never his greatest fan. I thought he was good. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't one of these players. Oh, Giroud. He was good. But when he went, I realised what we had. What wouldn't we give the last 2 years, 3 years for a player like that? You know, and also what we haven't got now is the centre halves knew they were marking a centre forward. He had
a target, wasn't he? He was a target,
and he was a presence. Well. He was like, hold on a minute, they couldn't sit back and have a cigarette or a cigar now like they do sometimes against us. And the centre forwards on the halfway line, you know, the ball's coming in. I'm not going to get challenged here. He went and challenged them. He hit them. You know, they had to be a bit wary. So that's a great call. Right now, I've got a bit of a problem here. I've got two to choose from, and I don't know which one. One of them is going to be, you're going to call me a crawler, which I am. I'll take that one. And another one is, because I think it's true, another one is, I think he could have had a great career at Arsenal, and he never did. And I think he was probably unappreciated by the manager more than the fans. I think the fans would have appreciated him even more had he played in his proper position and had he played more games. The guy I'm talking about, I'm going to tell you both, but the guy I'm talking about is Podolski. For me, he should have played down the middle, centre forward. He had the most amazing shot. He was sharp. He needed no space at all to get a shot away. And even Arsene Wenger said he's the best finisher we've got at the club, and he still stuck him on the left wing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. That to me was baggy trousers from day one. I just couldn't believe it. And we got him and Giroud at the same time. And I thought, could work together. But for the first X amount of games, they never played together. They used to be one on, one off. That used to work me, man. But I just thought he had everything. And I think he wasn't with us a long time, but I think he understood the club. He seemed to enjoy playing for Arsenal.
Yeah, he did.
He had a bit of his heart was Arsenal, which I loved. I love that. And the cruel one, I mean, the crawling one, you're going to go Melvin, crawler. I think it is Kevin Campbell. Because it was Wrighty and Smith they talk about. Kevin Campbell was a terrific footballer.
Oh, he was a great player.
And he never got played for England, did he either, did he?
I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did.
He gave 100. He came from the reserve. He came through the academy.
Did you not feel a little bit, Melvin, that I think he suffered. I mean, I don't know whether he'd admit it himself now, but I think he suffered a little bit of confidence crises at times. He looked, didn't he? Once Ian Wright came in and Wright was getting all the headlines, he looked as though maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it did, didn't it? Because he wasn't. Listen, he wasn't quite as
effective against Ian Wright. Ian Wright was bubbly. He was like everything. Ian Wright. When he was basically holding the forward line, holding the team together for a couple of seasons. Ian Wright. I mean, let's face it. Yeah. And he was larger. That expression, larger than life. That was Ian Wright. So you can understand why perhaps Kevin Campbell took a slight, if not meaning to, backstep. But I thought he had everything. He was speed, he was strong. And any team he played for, I mean, apart from us, because we had other players, but the Forest and the Evertons and all that, they loved him. They absolutely
West Brom.
They absolutely. Because he just gave everything, didn't he? He just never any trouble. Never any trouble. You never hear about him getting in trouble. He didn't get any. I don't think he got into much trouble with referees either. For a forward not to get into trouble, having an argument, I don't think he did.
In a way, though, that was one of the things that maybe disappointed me a little bit, because he was a big guy, wasn't he? He was powerful, and he never maybe made the most of his assets. I didn't think he had pace and he had power. At first, he did when he first broke into the team. I remember his first goal he scored against Nottingham Forest, when he held off these. You know, he was only 18 at the time, whatever it was. He held off all these big, strong men, and he just burst past them and scored. And he didn't do that enough for me. But anyway. He was a good player, Kevin Campbell. He never quite lived up to his. He scored about 80 odd goals for the youth team, didn't he, or reserves or something?
That's right.
He broke into the team, and he never quite reached that level that we expected in the first team. So I felt a little bit disappointed that he didn't. But he went on to have a great career elsewhere, and he was a great player for Arsenal. I just felt he didn't quite reach his potential that I felt he had when he was, when he was breaking through. But Podolski's a good shout though. Actually, what you said before as well. Podolski, He did have a hard shot. Again, left-footed player, Melvin. It's a left-footed player. They stand out.
That's a point, yeah.
Oh, dude. Let's do a team. The next thing we'll do is a team of 11 of left-footers.
Well, we pretty much have anyway. I've picked a lot of left-footers in my team. Not intentionally. It's just that when I write them down, I think actually he's left-footed, he's left-footed, he's left-footed. It seems like I've got a team full of them, but I do. They stand out anyway, left-footed players, I think, just because they look different, don't they, on the ball? And I don't know, but I've got a lot of left-footed players in my team. But Podolski's a great shout, actually. He was a very decent player, I have to say. Very decent.
One of us said, and then Steve in the chat saying as well, big up guys. Both Wenger and Per Mertesacker felt Podolski had the hardest shot they had ever seen, waited on the wing, like Melvin said. Even I was saying to people like before games and after, like, he is wasted on the wing. He'll be more suited alongside Giroud in a partnership or two.
In a great partnership.
Over the years. Imagine
the
Podolski
left foot. I don't know if you can play two left-footed strikers together. I think they'd end up going in the same areas because they want the ball in the similar part of the pitch, because they're both left-footed, aren't they? And Giroud's right foot, he didn't do a lot with it, did he, to be fair? So I don't know. I felt maybe they wouldn't have worked. Potentially they would have done, because they're what they were good at would have complemented each other. But maybe they would have both ended up going in the same areas of the pitch to get the ball. I think maybe a little bit too much. So maybe that's why.
And that's where the communication would have had to come in, and they've had to sort of build a bond between each other, saying, where they know without even saying anything, I stay here, you go there, or I go there, you stay here.
It could
they would have actually worked. But I just think naturally they would have both been drifting to the left, because Giroud always tended to do that anyway. Podolski tended to do that as well. So I don't know. I mean, I suppose it could have worked. But
it could have been the coach.
There'd have been a massive gap on the right-hand side a lot of the time. I think there'd have been massive space over there because no one would have been there. But anyway.
Stephen in the chat as well, Dan, was saying Podolski still follows Arsenal. Yeah. So there's a lot of love for the club and the fans. You see him wearing the Arsenal tops. Yeah, even the retro ones from well before his time.
Yeah,
I've seen him do interviews and wearing them. I like Podolski. I bet he is a fantastic. I bet he was fantastic. He was. I couldn't believe we signed him. What, 10 mil as well? I think we got him for. We did that early as well in the closed window.
Yeah, I thought he was. I was excited when we signed him. Yeah, and I thought I thought he did okay at Arsenal. He could have obviously done better if he'd played more. And as Melvin said, if he'd played more in his right position, he'd have probably done even better. But he was a good player. He gave everything, didn't he? He was always that sort of player, wasn't he? Left it all out there. And one of
my favourite goals for Podolski as well was the Champions League goal, where I think it was again at the Emirates. I can't remember who got the assist, but it's all Giroud was involved in it. I think in the sort of 1-2 between this and the player. Giroud's pinned it back to the player. The player's then lofted. I think it was Wilshere or Gibbs lobs it over, and Podolski just literally his left foot hammers it.
Yeah,
over the goalkeeper, just underneath the crossbar.
Yeah.
Just the sheer power of his left foot. I think he's my favourite.
Oh yeah, incredible shot he had. Yeah, he was a good player, Podolski. Actually, he was a decent player. He should have played more. But anyway, he didn't.
Yeah. So. Richard, what about your two? I mean, the next one.
Yeah, I mean, my second striker again. Lots and lots we could choose from. I mean, I've got so many on my list; it's ridiculous. But I can only really pick one, I guess. Who shall I go for? I'll tell you who I'm going to pick, actually, because I feel this guy was underrated. Although he had a lot of success at Arsenal, I'm going to go for Sylvain Wiltord because
One of my players.
Yeah, it's not a bad one.
I think he was a really good finisher. I thought he was a really good player. And yes, he had to play second fiddle a little bit to Henry and Bergkamp and stuff like that. But I thought he was a really good player, actually. And I never felt he got quite the credit at Arsenal that he should have done for how good he was. He never really got a regular place in the team, did he? He was in and out. He played when Henry didn't play, or he played if Bergkamp didn't play. He never got a regular... And you can understand why, because, they were two great players. But he never let us down. He always did a job. He scored, of course, one of the most famous goals in Arsenal's history as well, to win the league at Old Trafford. And, not many players have scored league title winning goals for Arsenal. So, he did that. He was a big part of all those successes that we had at that time, and he was a good player internationally. But yeah, if everybody mentions the invincible team and, that kind of era of Arsenal players, and Wiltord hardly ever gets a mention, because he wasn't a first team regular on a regular enough basis. But every time he played, he gave everything, and he scored a lot of goals as well. He had a good goal scoring record for Arsenal. For the lack of game time he had, I don't know what his minutes per goal were, but I bet it's up there with some of the best players we've ever had, because he seemed to always score, didn't he? Every time he came in, he'd come into the team and he'd get a goal, and then he'd be left out again. And then he'd get another couple of games and he'd score a goal, he'd score another goal, he'd get a hat-trick against West Ham, I think he got one, and he'd got a title-winning goal, and then he still wouldn't get a regular, and then he was pushed out wide a little bit to accommodate him in the team sometimes, and but yeah, he was a great player. I was disappointed when we sold him, actually, because I still felt he had a lot to offer us.
I don't think we did sell him. I think it was end of contract, wasn't it? I think he let his contract run out.
Well, he left, didn't he? And I thought he could have still offered us a lot more. He could still have offered us more after that, because it was just after the Invincible season, wasn't it, that he went off?
Yeah, the 04. Yeah. He left in 04.
Yeah, and
I think he scored 2 goals against Villa, didn't he? Get us out of trouble when we losing to Villa at home. He scored a couple.
He did, yeah. We won that game 3-2, didn't we? He did score a lot of important goals for Arsenal, Wiltord, and he was a really good player, and he obviously he won a lot of trophies with us as well. So I could have picked several other players, but just because of what he achieved at the club and how little credit he seems to get for it now, how little he's mentioned actually. But, apart from that one goal that people still, obviously the goal gets shown a lot, the Old Trafford goal, but he never really gets mentioned a lot, does he, as being part of that great team. The 01-02 season, that was a great Arsenal team, and he was a big part of that. He scored a lot of goals that season, and it almost gets forgotten about. So I think he deserves an opportunity to be mentioned in a underrated Arsenal team. So I'm going to pick him ahead of my mate Nicholas Bentner, who was in with a shout as well.
I thought he
was definitely in there, because I think he was very underrated. But I think Wiltord, just because Wiltord achieved a lot more with the club, and I felt he was underrated. He just gets to nod to Wiltord, but Bentner definitely should get a mention, because he was very, very underrated as well. And he scored a lot of goals for Arsenal. 15 in one season, Nicholas Bentner scored, and he hardly even started games. So, he was better than people thought. And I remember speaking once to a couple of Danish fans. We were at a service stage, came back from a game once, and there were these Danish fans. They were going, what do you think of Nicholas Bentner? And all the Arsenal fans were going, he's shit, terrible. And I said, actually, I think he's all right. I quite like Nicholas Bentner. And they were like, they loved him. He was like a god to them. Literally, they were like worshipping at his feet. Nicholas Bentner is like, what they were saying. He's like the best player ever. They loved him, the Danish fans. So, I think he had a bit more about him than he maybe gave us. Christopher Ray, that's a good shout. Yeah, he did well that one season, didn't he?
He didn't play enough for us, did he? He
didn't play enough, no. But that one season, he scored some really important goals, didn't he, at the end of the season when we needed them. Pops up with a few winning goals this FA Cup semi-final, and the Bolton goal was good, wasn't it? He absolutely thundered that in. That was a good away day.
That was right in the corner, wasn't it, that one?
Yeah, banged it in. Woof, top corner. What a goal that was!
No one was saving that.
No one was saving that. No, but he had a big impact that season, didn't he? But he didn't do a lot after that, did he? Unfortunately,
nice little flip he did, and all, didn't he? Nice little flip.
Yeah. When he scored that semi-final goal, he did it, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah, no, he was a good player actually, but he just didn't do enough, did he?
Yeah, I've got another mention of Eduardo from Stephen in the chat saying he was very good before his legs broke from Matt Taylor, whatever his name was. Taylor, so
it was Matt Taylor. Matt Taylor, then he finished up at Orient. I think he played for Orient.
I think that's his first season as well, wasn't it? Eduardo's first season. And literally just got in the team.
And it's another left-footed player. See, everyone likes left-footed. Everybody, because they stand out. Left-footed players stand out because they're a little bit different.
That was a good forward. That was another one. Roy Van Persie.
Exactly, yes. He left-footed again. But you can't call him underrated because he was fantastic, wasn't he? But yeah, see, left-footed players, they stand out. People remember left-footed players because they do stand out. And they're generally better anyway. I think it's a known fact. As we've proven here, this underrated teams, out of 11, well, there's probably like 9 left-footed players in the team, isn't it? So,
yeah, and even then, after, I think he was out for a year. I think he was out for that leg break.
Yeah, he was.
Just over. And he came back. And I think it was like one of the first few games back, and it was Burnley in the cup at the Emirates.
Yeah. And
Son pings the ball to him, and he jumps in, he's mid-air himself, and he's just how he does the athleticism he has to have the ball on his ankle on the outside of his boot, and just guide it sort of while flicking it into the top corner against the Burnley goalkeeper. No goal he was taking, but he had the audacity. That's just after he broke his leg, and I think after. Again, it's just my opinion here. I think after what happened to him, he never really got the chance again under Wenger to really get himself back under the table and get himself into that vein of form again.
I don't think Wenger had the confidence in him anymore.
No.
I don't think he had the confidence in himself, though, did he, after that? I don't think.
Probably not.
He didn't look the same player, did he, afterwards, unfortunately?
But I still would have rathered him than Shamak, with all due respect.
Well, yeah, Shamak wasn't great, was he?
Shamak was a jack. Come on. He wasn't properly enough.
That's what I'm saying. I'd rather have an unconfident, Eduardo.
Yeah.
What was the worst? What was the worst? Your worst? It's a funny old question. It's a bit random. The reason, the one point in Shamak's career, you knew he wasn't going to make it with us. I'd lost patience with him. You know what it was? It's a very important game.
The League Cup final, is it? No.
No. Very important game.
Didn't start that, did he?
I'll tell you what it was. I'll just tell you because we're running. Yeah. It was at home to Spurs when we were 2-0 up and they beat us 3-2. The ball came to him in the box. There was no one within 100 yards of him.
He scored in that game, you know.
Did he?
Yeah, he scored.
He had a chance to make it 3-0. The ball came to him in the box. He just had the goalie and he just stopped, had a look around and someone took it off his feet. He was like, what are you doing, mate? That could have been 3-0. It would never have come back from that.
No.
Do you know what, though? He actually started his Arsenal career. He looked good, didn't he? At the beginning of that season. He scored a lot of goals. And then did he miss a penalty in a Champions League game or something? And after that, he just lost all his confidence. And then Van Persie got back in the team.
He's got a record with us as well, hasn't he? I think he's got a Premier League record, I think. I think he's the only player to score 2 goals in a game, one in the first minute, one in the last minute, away to Wolves.
Against Wolves, yeah, that's right, yeah. I think that's a Premier League record, yeah.
Stephen's saying we'd take any of these strikers now, wouldn't we, though? To be honest.
Yeah, true.
Bloody right we would. Anyone will do, any striker will do.
Oh dear. And then Steve says, still remember Lord Bettner coming on in seconds. I was watching this game as well. North London Derby.
Yeah.
Came on.
He just walked straight on, didn't he? Walk straight on, walked in the penalty and just headed it in. All right, thank you.
What I would have done is walk straight off again afterwards.
It doesn't get better than that, does it? Literally, your career doesn't get better than that after walking straight on and scoring a header straight away within 2 seconds against Tottenham. Yeah, that was a great moment. That was brilliant. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, lots of good moments. Nicholas Bentner. I actually think he was decent. So there you go. Yeah, we said Walcott's in our team definitely. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, he's 100% in there.
Stephen goes on to say Bentner was a character, wasn't he? He was a bit of a nut job and confident, maybe too confident. The pink boots, I remember one season out of nowhere, Champions League night, bright pink boots.
He did score a lot of goals for us actually, and I think people forget how many goals he scored. I think he got over 50 goals for Arsenal. I'm sure he did. He must have been up around about that figure. He must have.
It's got to be, but again, I think because he came from not long after the year of Henry, or again. People wanted the fast pacey sort of striker. They got a Bentner who's tall, lanky, not as fast, but he could do a job. And he brought people into play. He was scoring goals as well. It's that underappreciation at the time from not just the outside looking in, but some parts of our fan base that were used to having a fast pacey striker that runs that stretches the defence and does. He scored 45. He scored 45 goals for Arsenal. Actually, they didn't quite get 50, but he weren't far off.
Considering. And I bet there's not many people that thought he'd even scored that many goals for Arsenal.
That's true.
And when you consider he went out on loan for a season, didn't he, to Juventus? Won a title, came back.
Well, he was on loan at Birmingham. He was on loan at Sunderland.
Sunderland, that's it.
Yeah.
Sunderland went on loan to Sunderland, came back the following season. It was in the 13-14 season. I think it was his last season. I think it was, or one after that.
Yeah, it was with us. Yeah, he didn't really play the full season, did he? But
yeah, and he was in it. He still scored goals then.
Yeah, he always got goals. I say 45 goals for Arsenal. I mean, he made 171 appearances, but most of them would have been from the bench because he didn't start an awful lot of games, did he? He probably only started half of them games, and to score 45 goals, I think that's decent actually. So
The Arsenal midfield saying he scored 11 goals, and then Van Persie came back, and
that was Shamak. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm sure he missed a penalty in some games, Shamak, and he was just never the same player after that.
Wolves was one of them. It was
he never came back.
And then Steve was saying here, Shamak was getting blackmailed, wasn't he? And whatever that was over, knocked him to pot. Was he caught coming out? I don't know. I never heard that myself.
Not sure. I mean, something seemed to happen because he was playing really well, and then suddenly he played completely shit.
He just dropped off.
Something happened. Whether it was something off the pitch that maybe that was, I don't know if that was the case, but something seemed to happen because everything changed for him, and he was never the same again. And then that was it, really. Yeah,
because Wenger even got to the point where he tried to loan him out to get him some game time and confidence back, but it just never worked, did it? Palace being one of them.
He got paid a lot of money at a young age as well. He was getting 52 grand a week because he had that on his back, didn't he? 52 he picked out because he was getting that. 52, very old.
Yeah. And that was Bentner, wasn't it? That was Bentner had 52, didn't he?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, right. I thought you were talking about Shamak.
Oh, sorry. No, Bentner, sorry.
But yeah, 52 as well. Yeah, he changed his number to 52.
Yeah, Bentner had 52.
26.
Yeah, 52. Seeing that again, you see, he's got a little bit of personality, didn't he, Bentner? You know what I mean? He scored 30 goals for no wonder Denmark liked him. He scored 30 goals and 81 caps for Denmark, so that's all right, isn't it, as well? So
and that's before Paddy Power came along. If you know, you know. Oh dear. We'll go with you, Melvin, for your strikers. Oh, you've done your strikers, didn't you?
Well, I've done it.
Yeah, it's on my turn now. Sorry. I had Real Talk for one of mine, and the other one was Carney for me. Just because, again,
was he underrated though, Carney?
Outside of not in the fan base, but outside of because we had he was never first choice, was he? And outside of the club, it was always.
No, he wasn't. He was never first choice. He was a good sub though, when he used to come on and he'd always score a goal off the bench, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He was a quality player. He should have been first choice at a top club like Arsenal, but for some reason, bad luck for him. But he never complained. He got on with the job. And I'm saying, from the fan perspective, we never underrated him. It's again like the John Lukiches and all that we've mentioned tonight. It's the people outside.
With a smile on his face, didn't he, Ryan?
Yeah. And again, he's another one I was gutted we let go after the Invincible season. So for free as well. Didn't try and get him tied down to a new contract because he was a good squad player, and he again never heard him complain. He got on the job. He was quite happy to come on and put a shift in or starting the cup games like the League Cups, not the early rounds and all that. And again, because we had the Henrys, the Bergkamps ahead of him, and just name a few, they got all the plaudits no matter what. Even if he was coming on scoring equalising goals or winning goals, he'd very rarely get a mention from the media outside of the club.
Yeah, well, no, that's true. Yeah.
The Dark Lord Bentner.
He was great. Bentner was great. Leave him alone. He was brilliant.
Yeah, Kanu was good. Yeah, again, we're not disputing Kanu was good or his quality. He was fantastic. But I'm just saying, outside of our club itself, people that don't watch him week in, week out weren't really seeing what we were seeing and didn't appreciate what we were seeing on a week-to-week basis. And he was a model professional as well. And after, even though he did go, it was a bit bizarre for me to see him go. What was it, West Brom? Was it West Brom he went to?
Was it Portsmouth he went first, wasn't it? Was it not Portsmouth? Or was
it was West Brom, then Portsmouth, I think it was. Yeah, it was
he won the FA Cup for Portsmouth. He won the FA Cup at Portsmouth, didn't he?
Right.
Yeah, he won the FA Cup in 2008 with Pompey.
Yeah.
The winning goal as well. But it was just bizarre for me going from what he was doing at Arsenal, winning league title, being part of these teams that winning league titles and FA Cups galore and being in Europe, that no big other European team came in for him. It was literally a team like West, with all due respect at the time. He went from one extreme in the league to compete, trying to stay in the league. And then he went to Portsmouth, and obviously, I think Portsmouth was a better move for him out of the two, going after Arsenal back between West Brom and Pompey. You sort of saw, again, people started to see a bit of what we were seeing on a week-to-week basis a few years back, but obviously he was a few years older. And I watched that cup final against Cardiff just because obviously we had lots of himself and Sol Campbell playing. And I was so happy that he scored that goal. And it then turned out to be the winning goal because obviously the ex-Arsenal connection and all that. And for him to come out and say, obviously, and I can understand it, that meant more to him than any other trophy he'd won in his career because he'd been the main man for that game. But yeah, and I had Wiltord as well, which we've already covered already.
Yeah, Wiltord was good.
Yeah,
I
good.
Wiltord.
Yeah. Yeah, Leah's saying, yeah, I knew him, but people forget how good he was. He does it again in the club itself. Apart from the odd charity match, or maybe on his birthday, he doesn't really get a mention at Arsenal nowadays, compared to the bigger names, as they put it. Just going through the chat. You still need those important players to the team. Kanu had the good attitude. Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. He had that hardcore. He didn't mind being second fiddle because the team was winning, and he was like, you know what, I'm still having part of a say in it, even in an invincible season.
Yeah, no, he was an important player. Yeah.
Stefan saying it was embarrassing when Bentner scored against Ipswich in the League Cup semi-final. That's come from an Ipswich fan, by the way. But I can't think why you're saying that when we knocked you out of that goal. It's a good goal as well, that one, actually. The Bentner goal against Ipswich. And Stefan's also saying we had some amazing players, but we've always had up to a point a collection of amazing players.
I mean, which of the current team or the current squad that we've got do you think one day we'll be looking back and putting them in an underrated Arsenal 11? Which of these current players do you think are going to get that sort of status that some of the players that we've spoken about tonight?
Only Xhaka. Well,
yeah, Xhaka, but I mean, he's not going to be around for much longer, is he? Let's be honest. His days are numbered, aren't they? I think we know that. You can see right away the club are heading. He's not got much longer left, does he, unfortunately?
No, I'm trying to think. That's a good question, actually. Underrated in this current lot.
Sometimes you don't know they're underrated till they stop playing for you.
Yeah. Yes. Ooh, could have a think about that and come back to that next week, maybe with our overrated team that we do next week. That'd be fun. The overrated 11, Jesus Christ.
Well, that's most of our current team. I think we'll get in that, won't they? They've got him with a shout, aren't they? Like Ben Wyatt for a start off, he's got to be there, isn't he? Most overrated Arsenal players of all time.
Yeah. We're also going to stop wrapping up soon because obviously we've been going near 2 hours, or over 2 hours. So Zach, there you go. He's agreeing with you.
He's in my underrated team already, Russ. He's already in my underrated team now. Not in 10 years' time now. He's already in there. He's vice captain to put him out of Saka in my team.
Oh, dear. No worries. But yeah, we're going to wrap things up. Obviously, we've got over 2 hours.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed that, actually. A lot more than... again, it was a lot harder.
Ryan, a lot of content there.
Yeah, apparently I don't do good content. My team, my channel's dead as well.
Learn from others, Ryan. Learn from others. Come on.
Yeah, the channel's dead and all that crap. Apparently, can't think who said that. And probably the irony is, they're probably still subbed and watching this channel. The irony. I'm a dead channel, guys. Dumbass.
Well, we'll see.
Oh dear, Lee because the same. Remember when we had Bergkamp, Henry, Kanu, and Viltord as our choice of strikers? Exactly. Now we've got Lacazette and Neville.
Now we have Lacazette and Nketiah. How the mighty have fallen. That's a good point now, actually.
But again,
when you think about it like that, it actually makes you depressed, doesn't it? You think about it and you think, Jesus Christ, the great players that we've had, and we got part of this mess at the minute.
No, that's the advantage of moving to a bigger stadium, Richard. Without that, we wouldn't have got Nketiah and Lacazette. We'd have still had Bergkamp and all that.
We would have missed out on the fun and games that we've got with this current team, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
exactly. The thing is though, we've got to. We're not allowed to be negative about the situation because apparently that makes you a bad fan. If you're not positive about finishing 8th every year and getting rid of all your players and not replacing them and not seeing how brilliant Arteta is, that makes you negative. Even though it makes you realistic, in reality, it actually makes you negative. You're not allowed to be negative. So I'm never ever going to drop my standards for this club, and I'm never going to be happy with the bullshit that we're getting. I don't care about process or anything like that, right? For me, Arsenal are a bigger club, and I'm never going to settle for this mediocrity. That's not enough. It's not good enough for Arsenal. And, I'm not saying, Arteta's, he's probably all right. He's a nice guy. But for what he's producing on the pitch, Arsenal are always better than that for me. And if other people don't think Arsenal are better than that, if other people are happy with mediocrity, then that's fine. But I'm not going to lower my standards to match yours. And, that's your issue, not mine. I've got higher standards for this club because I know where we are in English football and where we deserve to be. And whether, people say, well, you shouldn't be entitled to. No, it's not about being entitled. It's about where the club are in football history, where we stand. We're the Arsenal. And we should not, none of us, fans, players, managers, owners, everybody connected with Arsenal should not settle for mediocrity. And that's unfortunately what we're doing. Everybody at the club's happy, or not everybody, but a lot of people seem happy with this current situation. They've accepted mediocrity. And if that's the case, we'll always be mediocre. And that's it, because we're accepting it. I'm not accepting it. And I know a lot of other people aren't accepting it, but there's too many people that are. And unfortunately, until that changes, we are never going to get out of this little loop that we're in. The downward little spiral at the minute. There's a game called the 5-second rule when a little timer goes around, it goes to the bottom. You've got 5 seconds till it gets there. That's where this club's going, down and down to the bottom. And until we start understanding that this isn't acceptable, everybody at the club, and then otherwise it won't change. Next transfer window in the summer is not going to be what anybody assumed it's going to be at all. No, absolutely no chance.
Absolutely of course not. I mean, talking on that, I put on Tuesday morning. I woke up. Because obviously after the transfer window closed the night before, and I woke up. I was still pretty miffed that we basically weakened our squad, and again, I've had to explain this a few times to people. I didn't expect the club to replace every single player we've got rid of this window, just gone. Look, replace a few of them with some.
Do we want to get fourth or not? Do we want to try and get fourth? No, clearly not. But if we wanted to get fourth, we would have bought some players to help us improve the squad to enable us to get fourth. The club don't want to get fourth. They're not fussed.
That's what I'm trying to say.
They just want to get us players from America that they can, just because it looks good for them. A couple of these players from America that, to me, when the owners are picking the players that we bring into the club, you're on a slippery slope to nowhere. And that's what's happened here. There's no way Arteta went into American guys. Absolutely no chance. The owners have bought them players. And, this is the start now. We're going to be getting American players right, left and centre because we'll get them dirt cheap and they'll be shit. Yeah. And this is where we're going. And people are like, oh, that's all right. Let's just back the process. Let's keep going. Another 5 years, and Arteta might get it right. No, I'm sorry.
This is another pod, isn't it?
This is another pod. I'll wrap it up in a sec. But basically, my thing is, I got up and I still naffed off that we hadn't, because my point I was trying to make is, you don't have to replace every single one of them. But if you're going to get rid of the deadwood we had, go and get players that are an upgrade on what you just got rid of. Two or three, at least 2 or 3. To give us some sort of fighting chance going forward this season. And then I went on Instagram and I basically put a post out basically saying a message to Stan and the rest of the hierarchy at the club, Vinay, Edu, and Arteta, get that out of our club. We as fans deserve better. I then screenshotted that and put that screenshot onto Twitter and said, I'm just going to leave this here. And because I put obviously Conkeys out, Vinay out, Edu out, and then put Arteta out underneath. Some of the abuse I actually got was unbelievable.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. The people that abuse anybody that says Arteta out or anything, or Kroenke or anything, people that abuse it, I've got no standards for this club. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care what they say because they've got no standards for this club.
Yeah, and some of them came back. Some of them were like, "How can you say Arteta's nothing?" I had to go back and say, I may have not explained it. Obviously, I didn't explain it properly in the post, but this is what I meant. Arteta is sold. My thoughts on Arteta are solely based on his managerial abilities, in my opinion. That's the only thing. But I just put him. That's why I put him underneath and not in between. the other three named people, I hold them highly responsible for the transfer window itself, but I've included all 4 because I've had enough. I have high standards. Okay, fair enough. Maybe you can explain it fair enough. Tom from Laguna Talk, when he saw that 2 days later, before he even said anything to me, unfollowed me because of that. And I was like, okay. I thought it was just me. So I messaged him privately. Didn't go off on one, just like, how you doing and all that. And by the way, is it just me? Have you unfollowed me? Because I can't remember if you and all that. Oh yeah, I've unfollowed you because I can't have abuse on my timeline. I was like, where's the abuse? Yes, I said get the F out of our club, but it's hardly abuse of not saying you can't. I'm not doing an AFTV, put it that way. But we've then had a chat, and I've said, look, mate, again, maybe I didn't say it properly, and again, I was in the heat of being pissed off of what we just witnessed. But in terms of the Arteta thing, that's solely based on his managerial abilities as a club. I don't think he's good enough to take us forward. And then I went, the other 3, again, I hold them. That I stand by. You have to hold them to account. Because what? We just sit back and hope for the best in the summer and pray what we hear is true, and then come the summer when it doesn't happen. Oh, we'll wait till the winter when it's after the World Cup. Oh, it's after the World Cup. We'll do it wait until next summer. We keep learning. It's not. We can't even put it down nowadays to the younger generation with their standards, because obviously never seen.
Well, I don't understand. I just don't understand the cult of Arteta.
People of my age and your age and all that.
I just don't understand it.
That are sort of playing in the knee all of a sudden because it's Arteta.
Yeah, I just don't understand this cult of Arteta when he's achieved very, very little in all the time he's had. He's had a lot of money to spend, and he's achieving very, very little, and yet all these people just won't have a word said against him. And I'm sorry, but that's just ridiculous. But
Stephen puts it perfectly. He says at the end of the day, everyone is entitled to their opinion. That's another thing about this channel. We fall out sometimes, not about the fall out, but we have disagreements about things this season, and seasons gone by. But we do it respectfully. We discuss it respectfully. We don't go, oh, that's it. You say that, you're wrong. You're this, you're this, you're that. Other channels do different, but that's another matter. But apparently this is a dead channel, guys, so I don't know. People pay attention to this channel, apparently. Sort of abuse for expressing yours, but you always get trolls, get just muggy twats with no life, being knobhead. Yeah. And again, that wasn't. By the way, when I mentioned Tom, I wasn't digging Tom out. I'm just saying that literally, even someone of that ilk, without even coming to me, sees that and then goes, "That's abusive. I can't have that." And then just because of the sheer mention of Arteta. But yeah, it is what it is anyway. If anyone goes and clips this up and sends it to him and kills him back and tries to cause YouTube beef, God forbid. There's enough of that coming in the next 20 minutes, trust me, when I get off this stream. If you know, well, we know anyway what's coming. Yeah, I mean, apart from that, we was going to wrap this up 20 minutes ago, but yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, again, as I was saying earlier, enjoyed that. It's something new. Hope you guys enjoy it and do share this around and get as many new faces in as possible to see it as well, and recommend the channel because it does help the channel out massively. Smash that like button if you haven't already. And trying to think, we were talking about doing the overrated one, an overrated one, weren't we?
Yeah, we need to do that as well. That'd be good actually, because there's literally hundreds of them
the other day. So yeah, I think we'll do that before the Wolves game next week if we can. If we can fit it in between our schedules and all that. Apart from that, Richard, what have you got coming up on your channel over the weekend and going forward?
Well, I mean, people think there's no football, but that actually is because the women have been playing pretty regular way through. So I've got the women's show tomorrow night where we'll be looking at obviously the game last week in the FA Cup and looking ahead to Man United on Saturday, big game that is at the top of the WSL. We'll also have to look at the next Friday's game against Chelsea as well because we won't have another show before then. So that's tomorrow night, and then there'll be a watch along on the Man United game. It's early kickoff on Saturday, 12:30. So I'll be rushing back from football I'm playing in the morning, and I'll get back for that hopefully before kick-off. Do the watchdog of the Man United game. Hopefully Arsenal can get 3 points in that game and stay top of the league because it's getting a little bit tight and and stuff up there. So let's hope we can get the win. So that's coming up this weekend. And then obviously next week, there'll be, of course, the Wolves game on Thursday and then the Arsenal-Chelsea game on Friday. So a big finish to next week, actually.
It's Friday, isn't it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Thursday night's the Wolves game and then Friday, the Arsenal women against Chelsea. So title decider for the women next week on Friday. So everyone needs to be watching that game because it's going to be epic. So that's going to, so obviously I'll be doing it on the channel as well. So yeah, and obviously the Wolves game and the usual stuff as well. But yeah, that's this weekend. It's all about the women again. Second weekend in a row, Arsenal women are taking over. You know, winter breaks and all that kind of stuff. No, don't worry about that. The women will keep playing. They'll keep us entertained all the way through. That's what we like.
Yeah, I love this one, Russ. The sarcasm, I can hear it from a mile off. Not bad for a dead channel. Russ, trust me, when I get off this stream, some of them voice things we've heard, I am going to be putting out there, put it that way. If he wants to call shit privately, I'm going to do it publicly and see how he fucking reacts to that, dickhead. Melvin, what about yourself? Where can people find you? Obviously, you're on here sometimes.
I haven't got my own
channel as well.
But on this channel, thank you. On Richard's channel, they're the main two that I'm on actually, and from Dial Square to Where every so often. But thanks again, really enjoyed it. Nice to talk about some good things for a change. It's quite relaxed. Talk about the old times, some of the old times, and
the best times.
I think my team would have won actually. I just, I'm not being biased, but I think my team would have. No, thanks again, and obviously we speak shortly. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We'll chat backstage about that, but the other stuff and all that. But yeah, and everyone else in the chat, Stephen's been here from literally the start of the show, so big up to him. And obviously, some of the suggestions he put in the chat that we didn't mention as well. Good shouts there. Russ popping in at the last minute. Obviously, go and watch this back in a little bit. Stefan's popped in every now and then. Who else we've had in tonight? We've had Steve, the Arsenal Misfit. Mr. Bungle's been in here. We've got pretty much most of the regulars in here, pretty much in and out of the show. Chris Nix, all of them. Lee Akers, big up to Lee Akers as well. I think he's one of the newbies to the channel recently. Learnberg Burkamp popped in at one point as well. Massive thank you. I've been appreciate all you coming in and obviously taking part. And then again, hope you did enjoy this. And as I said, Saturday, like Richard, I'll be doing the watch along for the Arsenal versus United. Hopefully, some redemption from the other week because obviously the last time we played them was the League Cup and we got knocked out with a fluky goal.
I think we're playing better now, though. I think we've cut the players back from injury and stuff. I think we'll be stronger on Saturday. I think we'll be. Yeah. Plus, they had a tough game the other night against Chelsea in the Cup. So
they got better, didn't they, last night? Who won tonight, actually? Man City or Tottenham?
Man City beat Tottenham 3-0. So.
Tottenham, even the women's level, they can't win anything.
Yeah, they're improving. To be fair, Tottenham women are improving, actually. They've had
they are competing.
They've improved a lot. I think they'll get better and better. But yeah, obviously, Man City against Chelsea in the Cup final, not unusual. Seeing those two teams in the final, hopefully we can get there in the FA Cup again, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Stephen in the chat, if you want to know, if you've got Twitter, DM me and I'll talk to you, but I'm not going to, or just watch out for what I'm about to tweet in the next 20 minutes, as I said, and it will become clear. Yeah, obviously doing that. So yeah, doing that. Hopefully, as I say, a bit of redemption there for Saturday. As I say, we've got Leah Williamson back. They've just got battered last night against Chelsea. So I'm trying to think now. And then AFCON final. People were asking me last night to do the AFCON final, which is now between Egypt and Senegal. So Mane versus Salah on Sunday. So I might do that.
And El Neni will be playing.
El Neni, Arsenal watch. El Neni, come on.
El Neni's in the final. Good old El Neni. Go on, son. Get a trophy. That'd be great.
One on penalties tonight.
Actually, he could have been included in the underrated team. El Neni,
Possibly. There's a good shout there for him, actually.
Yeah, I didn't think of him, mate. I didn't even write only 55 players, and El Neni wasn't one of them. I'm a bit disappointed about that because he probably.
Maybe this 55. I want to see this whole 55 actually on Twitter, or not on Twitter.
They won't all fit on Twitter, will they? I have to put it on about 3 statuses to get them all in.
Just send it us in the group chat.
We mentioned most of them. We have mentioned most. Kalan's another one. I had Petrovic, Steve Williams.
Petrovic.
Yeah, Petrovic. Yeah. Ian Ellinson, actually. Do you remember him, Melvin? Another one from Colchester. And he was maybe underrated. He scored a lot of goals one season for us, actually.
He had against Spurs, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, he got that one as well. Yeah, he got a few good goals. Yeah, yeah. A lot of them we've mentioned actually, but Guendouzi underrated, I thought. personally.
Yeah, for a short stint as well.
Danny Welbeck, he was underrated. I thought.
Yeah.
That's probably done him.
Yeah,
Injury
Danny
time.
Welbeck was another one.
Yeah.
Who else have I got? I've just got loads here. We said
I'll go
Andy
through them now.
Moore.
I've got to go to bed.
Come on,
We're here all night. Well, no, to be fair, most of them we've mentioned actually. Most of them are pretty much.
Remember, just like I want to go to sleep.
But yeah.
Oh, dude, but thanks, as I said, thanks to everyone. Obviously, Melvin and more so Melvin as well, and Richard for taking part and coming along and.
Yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun.
Planning. So weeks planning. Obviously, thanks to Richard, we'll be doing the overrated team. Hopefully before Thursday, if we can fit it in between our schedules, because obviously
we can fit it in. There's a lot going on this week.
If
maybe we can do it after. There'll be another international break at some
point. Do it afterwards. If we can't get it in before, we'll do it afterwards before the international break. Yeah, but hopefully then, between now and then, enjoy the rest of your evening or morning, afternoon, wherever you're in the world, obviously, and we'll see you on Saturday. Obviously on Twitter, look out for that. It's gonna go off. Trust me, if you want to. Oh God. Anyway, we'll see you soon, guys. As always, up the Arsenal. Come on, you guys.
Come on.